That was the worst opening imaginable. I forgot to unmute my microphone. Hello everybody, welcome back to yet another installation, another episode of the Daily Cooking Show, the Daily Cooking Stream. Hope you're all having a beautiful day today. Welcome on in, Nathaniel. Hello to Jack. Hello to Evil. Welcome on in. A little bit of a mishap, a little bit of a mistake. Hello to Cloud Cuisine. Dolingo has my family. Hello. It's good to see everybody again. I missed you all. We skipped the Wednesday stream, the Sunday stream we did a little bit earlier, and now we're back into the swing of things. We're going to be back on a special little schedule for anybody that's not up to date with the new holiday schedule. You can check it out just in the Twitch schedule thing, or you can go on my Twitter or join the Discord. It's good to see you as well, Zio. Welcome on in. Everybody, I'm pretty excited for today's stream. We're going to be doing some of my favorite things to do at home. We're going to be doing what I consider to be quintessential home food, some quintessential home dishes. My voice is a little off today, so I apologize if I sound a little deeper than usual. I realize I've been doing nothing but like non-stop talking for so long, and I think my voice is finally catching up with me, so please bear with me in the meantime. Okay, everybody. So, we're going to talk about everything that we're doing today. We'll be doing a little bit of a Spaetzle. For anybody that is unfamiliar, the Spaetzle is probably closest to something like a gnocchi or like an American dumpling. Not like a dumpling that is like filled, but like a drop dumpling. What it really is dough with the consistency and the texture of pasta, and you make it with a lovely little batter. We'll be flavoring the Spaetzle today with a little bit of nutmeg and some parsley. And I love doing Spaetzle at home. I really do love doing Spaetzle at home. And the reason that I love doing Spaetzle at home is because it gives me everything that I want out of pasta, out of fresh pasta, except working with fresh pasta at home. I'm not gonna lie, that is not something that you can easily do on a day-to-day basis unless you have a live-in Italian grandma that's just doing that for you on the regular. Okay? The Spaetzle is so easy, it's so consistent, and it does for me what I want fresh pasta, homemade fresh pasta to do for me. It's got a really nice pleasant chewiness, it blends in with sauce so well, it's super, super delicious, and on top of that, it holds up to refrigeration quite well. I love doing Spaetzle. I think everybody should be doing this at home, and we've already done it on stream a few times, and every time that we do it, we keep getting better at it. And so along the Spaetzle, we'll be making some delicious lamb meatballs. I was thinking of doing like some spicy lamb meatballs. I'll talk to you about some meatball theory, the specific things that we're doing to it, why we're doing some things, why we're not doing some other things. And we'll also make a little bit of a red pepper tomato sauce. So I guess in total, this whole thing is kind of paprikash inspired, right? The Hungarian dish, because we just have like meat and we have this red pepper sauce, and it's going to be served with the Spaetzle. But in reality, this is just kind of my own thing. We're going to be flavoring the whole thing with some cumin. We'll have a bunch of parsley throughout everything. It's going to be super delicious. Let me show you some of the ingredients that I have behind me. These are, of course, my red peppers, my red bell peppers, some of these big boys. Oh no, I'm doing things for the YouTube thumbnail. Whoa. I have some lovely little tomatoes as well. So the sauce is basically going to be half bell pepper and half tomato. It's going to have some garlic, it's going to have some onions, it's going to have some cayenne pepper in there as well. It's going to have some cumin, because I'm looking for like this really delicious spicy red sauce. And then I'm going to finish it with some half and half to give it just a little bit of creaminess. For the meatballs themselves, I have over here a bunch of ground lamb, my friends, which we will talk about in a little bit. We're going to have some country bread going into the meatballs as well. Some of this bad boy right here. And the bread is essential in a meatball. Unless you're doing something like a Vietnamese beef ball, all of your meatballs, they have to include bread as a component. Bread is what makes a meatball really soft and tender and stops it from having the texture of, let's say, a burger patty. Okay? You're going to create a little bit of like lipped up bread with some milk, and it's going to do a really good job of keeping the whole thing really nice and soft, and it's going to increase its moisture and fat retention as it cooks. You cannot make meatballs, at least a Western style meatball, without bread. Okay, what cereal was in this bread, chef, asks Munha. That's a good question. This is a Russian style country bread. So this is a mixture of wheat and rye. Okay, but you can use any kind of bread that you want. Again, nothing that I'm teaching you here is going to be a recipe. Everything that I'm showing you is technique, and I'm going to talk about the ways that you can interchange different ingredients. In this case, you basically need any kind of bread. You can use whatever that you have. Welcome on in, Wizardry. Welcome, welcome. So, we have some bread going in. Of course, as always, we're working with whole cumin seeds. We're not using any of the, really shitty pre-ground stuff. It loses all of its flavor. We're going to toast it. We're going to grind it up ourselves. And then I have a bunch of parsley. It's going to be a good stream today. It's going to be an excellent stream today. So before we begin, I guess my question is, does anybody have any questions? I'll be doing my best to answer as many as possible, to try and show as many on the stream as possible. It is currently 5 p.m. Eastern Time. It's good to see all of you. It's lovely to have all of you in the stream again. I'm just gloving up preemptively before we begin. Yes, that's right. I do have Nanika hand tattoos. I think I can show them under the thing. So where did I learn how to make Spaetzle? Jack, that's a good question. I basically watched a bunch of videos until I figured out and understood how to make that kind of batter. Also, thank you, Jenny. That's very sweet of you. So, my friends, is it time? Are you ready for this? I think I'm ready. So, here's the order of operations, first of all. Also, Zio. Oh my god. Oh no, excuse me. That's Z the Dreamer. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. Really, really sweet of you. Okay. Everybody, we're about to get into things. We're going to do first the red pepper sauce, then we're going to make the meatballs, and then we're going to make the Spaetzle. I'm really, really excited for everything. So, everybody, I have a question. Are you all ready? I want to hear a yes, chef, universally from everybody. I see a couple of people already saying it. I want to see a universal yes, chef. Also, Evil, thank you so much for the sub. Very sweet of you. Chef, yes? Perfect. Look at that. Ah, that's what I like to see. Everybody's so lively today. I'm so happy to see all of you. Okay, my friends, the first step is going to be actually doing the red pepper sauce. And if anybody has seen me do a tomato sauce, if anybody has seen me do a salsa on the stream before, what you may know is we always start by charring the components. We're going to stick all of this under the broiler. We're going to get the skin nice and charred, nice and blackened, and that's going to give the whole sauce a very nice smokiness, right? It's the same idea of how we do the roasted bell peppers. It's the same idea of how I do like the charring for the salsas, and I'll show you exactly what you need to do to be able to prep all of this, right? So let me go ahead and just set this right next to me. Let's make a little bit of space for myself. And then, my friends, you're going to set the broiler on. We want to get a bunch of heat coming from the top of the oven. We want to be able to char these vegetables. We want to get it nice and smoky. We want to get it nice and softened. And from then on, we'll be able to build the sauce itself. So, here's what's going to happen. I'm making a little bit of space on my table. I realize it's a bit of a mess here. Perfect. Okay, and for this, I'm going to be using my petty knife. It's just a very nice, comfortable size for this operation. So let's begin. As always, you're going to want a separate waste bowl. You want to just be able to set that aside, okay? And then have that ready for whenever you need it, because we're going to have quite a few vegetable scraps. First step, let's do the tomatoes, my friends. Really simple. We're going to keep them intact. We want to be able to char and blacken the skins. The only thing we're going to do, we're going to cut it in half, and then we're going to remove the quarter. 1 diagonal incision, 2 diagonal incisions. And you're going to repeat this with all of your tomatoes. Just like that, nice and easy. Yes, and I am using plum tomatoes here. You're free to use any kind of tomato that you want. If you're using a cherry tomato, you don't even have to cut it in half. Also, Kirby Roland has asked me an excellent question here. Kirby Roland has asked, you don't remove the seeds. Especially in a sauce, I will never, ever, ever remove the tomato seeds. Removing the tomato seeds is a very classically French thing to do to be able to control the texture of something, because people say it's wet and slimy. We're going to cook down the sauce. We're going to reduce the sauce. The tomato seeds has so much flavor. I will almost never remove the seeds out of the tomato. Okay? Even though you can, even if like a plum tomato has such thick flesh, guys, so much of the tomato flavor is actually in the seeds itself. It feels wasteful to do so. But I am removing the core of it, because it gets a little bit woody. Okay, so once again, you can use any kind of tomato that you want for the job. You're not restricted to plum tomatoes. You can use vine tomatoes, you can use cherry tomatoes. It really is whatever is available to you. These were nice and cheap at my grocery store. Also, Jack asks me, what kind of Spaetzle are you making, Austrian or German? That's a good question. I'm not actually entirely sure. All I know is I just have a general idea of the dough, and I'm going to make it with parsley. So this is not a particularly German or Austrian Spaetzle that I'm doing, right? To do it with like lamb meatballs. If anything, it's very Middle Eastern inspired, but I'm just kind of using the things that I have around me. I hope that answers your question. Okay, but you'll see. But the tool that we'll be using is this Spaetzle tool. So some people do like the cutting board granny style. This is this little tool, which is basically a glorified cheese grater, where you put in the dough, and you're going to scrape it out like that. And you're going to get beautiful little Spaetzle. Okay. So, let's go ahead and continue to get rid of all of these corners of the tomatoes, my friends. Because again, we don't want it to blend into the sauce. It's woody, it's fibrous, it's not the most pleasant texture in the world. And again, you want to make sure that you're preheating your broiler. You want to get the top of your oven element nice and hot. And now, my friends, let's talk about how to prep a bell pepper. Let me show you. This is what I do every single time I have a bell pepper. First thing we're going to do, we're just going to flatten out the bottom a little bit. Just shave off the most bottom part so that we can then stand these up a little bit. Then, it is a pretty crazy bell pepper. Then I want you to go ahead and take a look. You see the folds, you see the folds, you see the folds, you see the folds. This is where the white part of the bell pepper is going to be. Okay, also welcome on in, ask yourself. And also Moonha, yes, you can use these for compost or even a stock or something. I'm not gonna do that. So my friends, these lines are where the white part of the bell pepper is. And all you need to do is just shave down the sides, and naturally you leave all of the white part inside, and then you get all the flesh in one beautiful sheet just like that. You don't have to cut off the top and dig it out or anything, okay? Did I watch Thanksgiving? The killer cooks a woman in the film. I've not seen it. I don't know what that is. Okay, we're gonna keep going. Just shaving off all the sides, my friends. Until, guess what? We have a very nicely trimmed bell pepper. Beautiful, huh? All 4 of the shaven sides now. And then we're just going to go ahead and plop these whole onto the sheet tray. We've actually run out of space on the sheet tray. So I think I'm actually just gonna do the tomatoes first. I'm gonna char the tomato skins, and then we'll char the bell pepper skins. So I'm gonna just get that into the oven at the moment. Once again, we are working with a broiler. You don't really wanna step away. Things have a tendency to catch on fire in a broiler if you're not really paying attention to it. So you always wanna remain in the kitchen whenever you have a broiler on and active and present. Do I like horror movies? I have barely seen any. My first horror movie, oh gosh, I already forgot which one that was. I've only recently gotten into horror movies from an ex of mine, from like a year ago. But I guess I like them. I guess they're kind of fun. Okay, my friends, once again, we're shaving off the bottom so that we have a nice flat bell pepper, although this is not completely necessary. And all we're going to do again, we're shaving off the sides of the bell pepper, and we're getting as much of the flesh and none of the white part. Spongy, bitter, doesn't have anything really to offer or contribute. Dara, you speak very fast. Oh gosh, am I speaking too fast today? I can definitely slow down. Okay, these are all the sides of the bell pepper, my friends. Okay, and all we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and pat these dry, and we're going to wait for the tomatoes to be done, and then we'll also char these bad boys. So we want to get these nice and black, and we want to get them nice and softened, and that's going to give us a lot of extra flavor in the sauce. Now, is this step necessary? It's not. You can do this if you want to get a bit of smoky flavor in your sauce. If that's not something that you desire for the dish that you're doing, you don't have to. None of this is a recipe. All of these are different implementations of different techniques that I'm showing you. Okay? And it is up to you, and it's up to you to use your own discretion with, you know, what you actually want to apply and to be able to take home. So if you just want to have a roasted red pepper sauce, you can do that. You don't have to do this step at all. You can use green peppers, you know, for all I care. But you can use any kind of pepper. In fact, you could also just do a tomato sauce for something like this. I really wanted to get some of like that super sweet red bell pepper flavor with the tomatoes, have like a really nice balance. I've been craving these lately. So that's why I'm using these. Okay? Has everybody got that? Is that clear? I want to hear universal, resounding yes, chef. Okay, I'm just gonna pat these dry before they go into the broiler because I would like to make sure that it doesn't steam in there, but we actually get to properly blacken the skin and everything. Okay, that's fine for now. I'm gonna go ahead and set that aside. And now, my friends, let's talk about the spices. So, for the actual sauce, I wanna have a delicious, you know, aroma of cumin throughout it. I love cumin, it's one of my favorite spices. And so, I will exclusively work with whole cumin seeds. We're going to toast the cumin seeds. I'm just preemptively putting them into this super cute little pan. We're gonna get a bunch of cumin seeds. We're gonna grind it up in a mortar and pestle after it's toasted, and toasting it does a good job of just sort of bringing out the flavors, making it nice and aromatic. And my friends, this is the kind of a spice that you should always get whole in seeds. Never have pre-ground cumin in your pantry. okay? When you have something that is in such a volatile form, right, being the ground stuff, it loses its flavor, it loses its potency a lot quicker. It loses its smell when it's exposed to both oxygen and light, okay? And when it's whole in its seeds, it's really, really lovely. Okay, so those are cumin seeds. And the next step, I'm just gonna go ahead and put that away because we will not need more cumin seeds. We're also going to do some black peppercorns into the sauce. Once again, whole. You don't have to toast these. You can just use, like a regular pepper grinder, right? If I had to choose one or the other, lasagna or chicken pie, lasagna every day of the week, Jack. Lasagna every day of the week. Okay, so some black peppercorns. Not too much, not too crazy. And then we don't really need to toast the already ground spices. We just want to toast the whole spices, okay? There's only 2 toothpaste flavors left in the world, orange juice and severely burnt garlic. I would do orange juice, not burnt garlic. I hate it. It's awful stuff. Okay, we're gonna get that ready to go. I'm not gonna put this on the heat quite yet. I'm just gonna set it behind me. Because at the moment, we are babysitting the tomatoes, okay? I'm gonna show you all what the tomatoes look like. So let's head to the stove for a second, my friends. I'm gonna just pull out the sheet tray of tomatoes. And you can already see, we have some of the skins beginning to blacken. I would like to push this a little bit further, right? I wanna get the entirety of the skins blackened. I wanna get the tomatoes at least a little bit softened for the sauce today, okay? But it's getting there. And that's why you have to babysit it, because this doesn't take that much long to cook. Okay. So, here's what we're gonna do, my friends. We're gonna set a nice low medium heat. You can even do a high heat on your stove here for the spices. Okay, let's get a little light on these things. And you wanna make sure you're constantly moving them so that there's no hot spots, so that your spices don't burn. Also, would I grow my own vegetables if I could? Jack, that would be a dream. I would love to homestead. I would love to be able to grow my own vegetables. I would love to can things. I just live in New York and it's not very feasible, and I don't have the time at the moment. But in the future, I would love to live in a commune, right, with people that have like dedicated like social tasks, right? So I would love to. Okay, so my friends, we're just moving the spices around because think about the size of these. Okay, think about the shape of them. Think about the structure. These little spices, they will burn if you leave them intact and completely flat on the bottom, and the top of it will be untoasted. It's the same idea as roasting and toasting nuts. You want to keep them constantly moving because there isn't any oil to evenly distribute the heat or anything. Okay. Also, I'm not able to keep up with every question. I apologize if I miss one. If I did miss a question that you really wanted me to answer, feel free to repeat it today. Okay. And so what we're looking for is just slight wisps of smoke. We don't have to push it too far. We don't have to really look at the color. We're just looking for the spices to begin smoking. And it shouldn't take too long. Okay? Just looking for it all to begin smoking. How's that? Just pick it up, take a look at it. It's not there yet. The aroma will hit your room. It will fill up the whole kitchen. Yes, that's right. You can also highlight a message if you really want me to see something. Okay, my friends, we have some slight wisps of smoke, and now let's head back to my cutting board. Head back to my cutting board, and we're going to go ahead and dump these in my mortar and pestle, and we're gonna get to grinding them in just a second. Alrighty, Jack, see you later. Please come back soon. Okie dokie. That's like that, and now let's head back to the stove one more time. And I'm gonna take the tomatoes out, and we're gonna take a look at the tomatoes and see how they're doing. Let's see how much those skins have blackened. Okay, perfect. That's about where I want the tomatoes. And I'm gonna be keeping those like really crispy, charred, blackened skins. Okay. And so, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be lovely. What's happening in the Discord? Oh man, it's happening again. Ah, okay. Let's see. Everybody just have a little situation in the Discord. I do apologize. It's going to take a second. Da, 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 da. Ugh, I need more moderators. Okay. I have a little situation to deal with in my Discord. I really, really apologize for this. This sucks. This is very annoying. I could use somebody to help me out really quickly. If somebody's in my Discord at the moment that I could give moderator privileges to, because I can't really deal with this at the moment. Is there somebody that I can quickly trust with mod privileges? I was a little unprepared for this to happen again. Yeah, everything is okay. We're just getting a couple of people spamming some stuff in Discord that they really shouldn't. Okay, Dosky, I'm gonna make you a mod really quick. I need you to take care of this. I trust you with my life. Okay, sweet. Dosky, you are now officially a moderator. Thank you. I appreciate it. Really, really sweet of you guys. I really apologize for this again. It's going to get taken care of in a second. Thank you to whoever alerted it and brought it to my attention. Dosky, you are now officially moderator. Thank you very much. Okay. Hi. Hello. We should be back now. Okay. So, let's have a little recap really quickly. We just took the tomatoes out. Let's go back to the stove, my friends. Okay. We finished charring up the tomatoes, and now we're just gonna have to throw these into a bowl. We have to get working on the bell peppers as well. The red bell peppers that we took out, we cut them up, and we're also gonna have to place those under the broiler. Okay? So let's go ahead and deal with that right now. I'm gonna just take these, I'm gonna set them aside. You can use some tongs if you want. You can also just use your fingers. And again, this entire step of charring the tomatoes, completely unnecessary. I just usually get inspired by like the smoky taste of salsas, and it's my favorite thing to do with them. Okay, took the tomatoes out. Also, Dosky, please let me know when you get it done. Would love a little bit of help ASAP. Okay, sweet. And now, my friends, some bell pepper. It's gonna go right under the broiler, and we're just looking to get them roasted. We're looking to get the skins nice and charred, just like we did with the tomatoes, okay? You know, in retrospect, the sheet tray was a little small for the job, but that's okay. That's fine. He'll be able to get it done. Dosky, thank you so much. Very, very sweet of you. Okay, we're gonna put that back under the broiler. And this, my friends, is, ooh, I just grabbed the hot sheet tray with my hands. Luckily, it did cool down a little bit. This is all for the sake of getting the sauce really nice and smoky to be able to build a lot of extra flavor. And also, what does the aluminum foil do for the food? That's a good question, Asto. I'm using that just for the ease of cleaning a little bit later. When you tend to broil things under the broiler, it sometimes burns like some of the liquid that comes out of the vegetable, and then it really, really sticks to your sheet tray. You don't have to do the foil. It just makes my life and the cleanup a little bit easier. Also, thank you, Rabbit. Okay, my friends. Let's wipe down my station really quickly. Let's get these tomatoes and bell peppers off. Dosky, thank you so much. You really helped me out there. Now, let's grind up these spices. So, once again, this is the toasted cumin and the toasted black pepper. And all we're going to need to do is just get in there. First, you're going to start by crushing everything, making sure that you have no big kernels of anything left, right? You don't want any big seeds of anything left. So you're just gonna get in there, you're gonna get it done. Take just a second. Okay. Just crush them up. And then we're gonna start rotating, and we wanna get a really nice fine powder out of all of this. And so I love cumin, it's one of my favorite spices. And again, this is not a specific regional dish that I'm doing. You can use whatever makes sense to you. You can throw in some coriander seeds if you'd like. We're probably also gonna add some paprika. We're gonna do some paprika in this, and we're going to do some cayenne pepper in this for the heat. And now, my friends, we can grind it all up, but first you gotta make sure they have no big spheres of black pepper left. You wanna crush it all. Okay. And now we're going and we wanna get a nice fine powder. This is where all the flavor of the sauce is gonna be, right? We wanna have it nice and spiced. We'll have it really nice and flavorful and delicious. Okay. Should be good now. Dosky, thank you so much. You're a good lifesaver. Okay. Mix it back up. You want to get rid of any of the big fibers. Okay. So Kaze asked, what is the significance of putting it on the fire before doing this? The reason for this is because we're toasting it, and we're able to change the flavor of it just a little bit. Simply put, the taste of a toasted spice is a little bit different and a little bit more intense than that of a completely raw spice. It is not completely essential. In fact, it's not recommended to do that with some spices, but in the case of cumin, in the case of black pepper, toasting it does change the flavor a little bit and brings it out. If anything, the best way that it's described is that it tastes warm, right? Is that it tastes a lot warmer. Okay. How are my red peppers doing? They're looking good. They're gonna need some more time. Okay, wanna keep going, my friends. You wanna get rid of any of the big threads. But yes, toasting is not the essential part. The essential part is really just truly having whole spices. You're making it a little bit warmer, and then it's just gonna, you know, flavor your sauce or whatever else you're putting it in. Lovely. Okay. Excellent. And my friends, I always keep this thing dry. I never put anything wet in it, nothing like garlic or tomato or whatever, because I like not being able to wash this. Whenever I'm done with this, all I have to do is just wipe it off. Okay. Next, my friends, we're gonna need some paprika in this, and we are going to need some cayenne in this. So let me go ahead and get this out now. Now, the paprika is not a particularly essential component. In fact, it's not going to add much besides just a little bit of color, right? Because it's just gonna look kind of cute. It's gonna be a very nice, deep red sauce. And it is somewhat inspired by like a paprikash. Paprikash? I forgot how it's pronounced. So we're just gonna do a couple spoons of this. Just one big spoon. Nothing crazy. It is just paprika. It's one of the mildest spices. To say that it is a spice would be giving it a lot of credit. What it really is just a fun way to give things a little bit of extra red color, without including like too many, dissonant flavors. And then we're also gonna go in with a bit of cayenne. Where's my cayenne? Oh, I should have gotten this out beforehand. I'm so silly. How could I do this? There was no way that I ran out. I did not. Sweet. Okay. Am I trying to hit a certain balance for the spices, Kaze? The answer is you want the bulk of this to be the paprika, if you're including it at all, although you don't have to. And then the second largest component is going to be the cumin. The third largest is the black pepper. And then the fourth largest is going to be the cayenne, depending on how much you'd like. You can always adjust the amount of that later on, depending on how much you would like heat-wise. Okay? But at the moment, guess what, my friends? This is all of the cumin. This is all of the paprika now, all of the cayenne. This is a beautiful little spice blend. And there is no exact balance. This is not particularly scientific. You're basically just going off of feel. Cooking doesn't actually have to be that precise. The only thing is you want to make sure you're not using too much of the stuff that's really intense, right? Like you don't want to use more cayenne than you actually need, because then you're going to get a sauce that's like unpleasantly spicy. But otherwise, look at this beautiful spice blend we made, huh? It's not exact. And this kind of a thing is never meant to be exact. There is no perfect spice mix. The longer and older your spices are, the weaker they become. You're gonna have to be able to adjust. You can just feel these things out. I promise you, there's a lot of places to be precise in the kitchen. This is not one of them. And now, my friends, take a look. This is it. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the bell pepper is doing that we have under the boiler at the moment. Excellent. That's what I'm talking about. That is a very nicely charred bell pepper. That's exactly what I'm looking for. To me, that's now done. That does not need any more cooking. Right, you want it intentionally blackened. You want intentionally charred. You want to be able to get it really nice and soft. And we're going to blend it with the skin on, unless there's like bits of the pepper skin that are like way too papery. In which case we can easily peel it off. But we basically want to blend this down. We're going to get a beautiful sauce out of it in just a little bit once it cools down. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw that into the same bowl as my tomatoes and just make a little bit of space. And it releases a lot of liquid that would otherwise find and end up into the sauce. And so doing this method of charring it beforehand really allows you to control the moisture. If you ever feel like your sauce lacks flavor, it's probably too watery and you didn't reduce it enough, right? And we're naturally getting rid of a good amount of water this way. Okay, just transferring all that into my bowl. So you see how like blackened the skin is? It got like super papery. That's not the skin that we would always want to keep. We're just gonna cool this down until we can handle it a little bit better than at the moment. Whew, hot. I should have really gotten some tongs for this. And yet, I chose not to. Okay, my friends. Let's take a look. We made a beautiful little spice blend. The cayenne, the cumin, the black pepper, as well as a little bit of paprika. And then this is my charred roasted red peppers and my tomatoes, and that's going to make up the bulk of the sauce. So, we're basically halfway there with getting the sauce done, and now it's time to actually go on over to the stove. I want to saute some onions, I want to get the spices in there, I want to get some garlic in there, so let's start that process now, my friends. I'm going to actually just set these aside really quickly, set all of this behind me, let that cool down a little bit. I'm going to get the sheet tray out of here as well. Okay, my friends, let's head to the stove. And so I have this big, beautiful saucepan here, my Mavier saucepan. Remember, it's a clad pan, so you never really want to blast it with heat. You never want to heat it up empty either. We're going to pour in a generous amount of olive oil to fry the onions. Okay? Generous amount. You don't want to just burn the onions, you want to properly fry them. And we're going to use one whole onion for this. So let's head back to the cutting board. It does look like a little jellyfish. You're absolutely right. Okay, let's have a little sip of water. Let's talk about my onion. So, where did he go? Hey there, little guy. Here's my onion. One small onion. I don't want the onion to overpower the taste of the sauce. I just want to be able to fry it nicely. You can even use half an onion. You can use as much onion as you want. Again, nothing here is particularly precise. I just really, really want to be able to show off and let the bell pepper and the tomatoes sing for themselves. Okay? Also, Walla Walla Man, you have not actually missed that much. All we've done, we've just charred the bell peppers and the tomatoes for the sauce, and we're continuing the sauce preparation now. Okay. Ooh, you saw Mavier at a Goodwill for $15? Did you buy it? You should have bought it. You should have bought it. Okay, my friends, this is how we're gonna prepare the onion. I don't know if I'm actually gonna blend the sauce after it's cooked. You know what? I am gonna blend it after it's cooked down a little bit. So what we're going to do in that case is you don't have to be super precise with the cut of your onions because it's all gonna get blended down into a nice little cream. We cut it in half, root intact, and then we can easily peel it. This onion is a little bit old. We're gonna have to clean it up a little bit. Okay? Just clean up anything that looks a little bit off, anything that looks a little bit old. And then, my friends, we're gonna take the bench scraper that we have right here for this purpose, so we can easily get all this crud, all this tomato skin off. Lovely. Have I taken cooking classes, or is this all stuff I do in my free time? I'm entirely self-taught. I only took a couple of one-off classes when I was younger, but I hate the way, Walla Walla Man, I hate the way that cooking is usually taught. You know why? Cooking is taught with recipes. I'm not teaching you recipes. I'm teaching you all how to cook at home and how to be resourceful and how to make things that are really good in a home environment. I hate cooking for recipes. I hate it. I'm teaching you techniques. I'm showing you what is interchangeable, what isn't interchangeable. So at the moment, we have olive oil heating up. We're using olive oil specifically because all of that oil is going to go into the sauce. We want an oil that tastes good. We're not using canola oil, we're not using avocado oil because the oil itself won't actually be all that pleasant to eat. If it's all going to be in the sauce, you want to use an oil that tastes good, and that is why we're using olive oil, right? Although you could use butter, the risk of that is burning the butter by the time the onions are browned. So, We're looking to a small to medium dice. Also, hello to T. Welcome on in. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. We're making incisions. We're basically fanning out the onion. Thank you, T. We're fanning out the onion, and we're holding it intact by the root. Okay? And then we're just going to slice down the onion, full length of it. And again, you don't have to be super precise if you're blending the sauce down. If you don't plan on blending this down, I recommend doing a super fine dice, because that way the onion will be able to basically melt in more and impart all of its sweetness. It's not completely necessary in my case, because I'm going after like a very homogeneous, creamy texture. Also, rabbit raisins, I'm happy to hear that. That's my goal. I want to be able to get people excited about cooking at home, showing you how much possibility that you have. There's so many dishes that are better suited in a home setting than it would be in a restaurant setting, because you're able to give a lot of time and attention and love to it, right? And we're able to iterate. We're able to take things that we made the previous day and transform them into something else. Okay, so look, nice medium to small dice. It doesn't matter too much because we're all gonna blend it down anyways. If you don't plan on blending it down, you're gonna want a super fine dice. And I'm gonna transfer that on over to the plate. And now, my friends, let's head to the stove. Right, the olive oil is nicely heated up. We don't want it like smoking hot or anything. We just want to nicely fry the onion. And all of that olive oil, get it in there. Excellent. Low to medium heat. We're not looking for a super deep brown, but we're looking for a very nice golden color. Okay? So I'm gonna grab a spoon for this. In fact, I'm gonna use the silicone spoon because we'll be scraping down the sides often of the sauce as we cook it. And you see it. It's not just like completely making contact with the pan. It is properly frying in that amount of oil. There's plenty of oil to go around inside of that pot. Okay? Which I think is essential for something like this. We don't want the onion to burn. We're gonna stir it often. We're gonna hit it with a bunch of salt right now as well, my friends. Okay? So nice medium to low heat. Let the water evaporate. We're not looking to just sweat these onions. We're looking to properly brown them too. So a bunch of salt going in. Beautiful. And then we're gonna get working on some garlic as well, my friends. So let's do that right now. Also, Walla Walla Man, I'm glad that you're able to learn something. That's very sweet of you. I'm impressed that you were able to from this. Okay, garlic, my friends. I set some aside. I know I did. There it is. Is everybody following along so far? Does anybody need a recap? Does anybody have any questions? I'm here to help you, and I'm here to help teach you how to cook. Hello, Chewy. Welcome on in. So, my friends, some garlic. Gonna just take it off of the head. Again, the amount of garlic that you use is completely up to you. I'm actually using a little bit less garlic than I usually do. For something like this, I'm only using like 3 cloves because I really want the red pepper to shine. My intention for this is for it to be a red pepper sauce first and foremost, then a tomato sauce, and then the flavor of the spices. And so I don't want to get super aggressive with the amount of garlic, okay? And let's see what you asked me. Did I preheat the oven for the onions and tomatoes? You just have to preheat it a little bit when it comes to using the broiler. We just use the broiler. We use the top element. Okay. My friends, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take a bench scraper. I like doing this with a bench scraper so I don't cut myself. We smash it down. And we separate the skins from the cloves of the garlic this way. Nice and easy. Pop it out. I love having gloves for this because it gets all sticky. And I never cut garlic on a cutting board anymore. All I do is just use my garlic press. I love the garlic press. I use it all the time. I use it constantly. It is one of my favorite tools in the kitchen. Because let me tell you, chopping and trying to get a very finely minced garlic is incredibly inefficient. Okay, let's give the onions a little stir. And again, the more oil you use, the more evenly these onions are gonna brown. If you've ever accidentally burnt onions, I promise you, even with like a regular heat, you probably did not have enough oil in the pan for the oil to actually properly, fully surround the onions. And it's only just making contact with the bottom, and then it sticks, and then it's a whole mess. It just becomes a whole mess. Okay, so this is a plate I'm using just to transfer ingredients over from A to B. We're going to go ahead and just crush the garlic one by one. You don't have to worry about sticky garlic on your cutting board. It's not even just a flex, SSB Osmo. It's actually just inefficient and annoying. It is incredibly inefficient. How do I feel about using pork fat, Kirby? I love it. In fact, if I wanted this to be like an animal fat sauce, I would have started with some bacon and then garnished the dish with bacon or something. I love using lard, I love using pork fat, I love using animal fat, any chance that I can get. But I don't normally keep lard at home. But yes, you should use whatever fat that you have available to you. I wanted olive oil in the sauce. You can use whatever you want. You can use whatever you want the taste of. You just have to be careful with butter because of how it burns. So you can't cook this on like a super high heat or anything. Okay, that's the minced garlic. I'm going to go ahead and wash this now. You gotta wash as you go with these kinds of things because otherwise the garlic sticks inside and then it dries up and then it becomes hellish to clean later on. Okay, give the onions another stir. And we're properly browning these onions. We're not just gonna throw them in oil for 20 seconds and say, ooh, the onions are browned. We wanna get some good proper color on it. It's going to make the onions really, really sweet. It's gonna make the onions really, really delicious. Okay? So that's going, that's just about ready for the garlic. And then we're gonna do the spices. And the reason, my friends, we don't add the garlic in the beginning is because the garlic tends to burn a lot quicker than onions do. With the onions, we have a lot of time to cook out the water and then build up the caramelization on it. If we added the garlic in now, it would be burnt by the time the onions are ready. Okay? So that's why I always, and it might seem a little bit obvious to some of you that might have been cooking for a while, but those of you that are newer, that's why we separate this process and we don't cook everything at the same time. Right? You have to be able to catch things up at the different rates that they burn. Garlic burns a lot quicker. It has a lot more sugar density. It burns for a lot of other reasons that I can't explain to you. And you don't want that acrid burnt garlic flavor by any means. Okay. I'm just wiping some stuff off for a second. And as soon as I get a little bit more color on these onions, we are going to add the garlic in. Right? The more you cook it out, the more water you're getting rid of. And the sweeter, the more caramelized the sugars become. We're not going for the fully caramelized onion or anything, just a nicely browned one. And you're gonna get some pieces that are a little bit more black than others. It happens. Some that's a little bit charred. It's totally okay. I promise. Nice, delicious golden brown onions. Smells lovely. Onions and olive oil. However great tomato sauce ever starts. Have you ever made an infographic to yourself to remember how stuff burns fast relatively to each other? No, Munha. I think that's actually too much structure. You have to memorize this kind of a thing. If it helps you, go for it. Otherwise, it's just a thing that you build up. It's an intuition. It's a feeling that you build up over time. Okay. So here's the idea. We're gonna add the garlic, then we're gonna add the spices because the spices burn super quickly. We wanna fry them in the oil a little bit. And then we're gonna add in the tomatoes and the bell peppers, and we can leave them in whole because after this is done cooking, softening, and reducing, we're gonna blend it down and finish it with some half and half. And we're gonna get a really, really delicious, smoky, oniony, sweet red pepper sauce. What's the recipe? SSB Osmo, there is no recipe. That's a good question. Nothing I do here is a recipe. This is just a red bell pepper sauce. But if you didn't want the menu, guess what? Guys, you can type !menu in the chat for what I'm doing. Okay, so the onions are now nicely browned. I don't want to push them any further. I should have been stirring them a little bit more often, but that's okay. And now we have to work fast. We have to work fast, we have to move fast. Also, wait, Taza, why didn't that work for you? Welcome on in. My friends, garlic going in now. And you have to work fast. You want to stir that in. We don't have much time. We got to go. We got to keep moving. What's Spaetzle? That's a really good question. I'm going to answer that for you in just a second. Because right now, it's critical. We have to fry the garlic, but we don't want to burn the garlic. Okay? And then, after that fries for just a few moments, remember the spice mix, the cumin, the paprika, the cayenne, the black pepper. We're going to add all of that in now. All of that. Beautiful. We want a lot of spices in this. We want a delicious spicy sauce. We want to be able to taste everything. So we're frying the spices for just a second in all that oil. And then we're going to add the tomatoes and the bell pepper. And this stops the browning because it's wet. We're adding a bunch of moisture in. Nothing can brown in the presence of that much liquid. So we've toasted the spices. We've fried the spices. We've fried the garlic. Okay? And now we are beginning the start of something very, very special. We're beginning the start of a beautiful tomato and bell pepper sauce. Really nice and spicy. Okay? Let's take it We want to make sure that the onions and the spices and the garlic are all off the bottom, and we're going to start mashing things up. We want to start getting the liquid out of everything. We want to get the liquid out of the peppers, the liquid out of the tomatoes. We want everything to start boiling away, my friends. There is no more browning, there is no more caramelization to be had, and the tomatoes are naturally going to release plenty of their own liquid. This is a really, really simple sauce. More than anything, I just wanted to highlight the taste of the red bell pepper. I wanted to be able to highlight the taste of the cumin, okay? And we're using the silicone spatula because we can scrape down the sides of it a lot easier. So we want to get everything soft enough to the point that it blends. We want to be able to reduce as much of the liquid here as possible, okay? And in fact, we are going to give it a little bit of help. We need to start with a little splash of water, and it's naturally going to release a lot more liquid. So we can turn up the heat now. We can add in just a splash of liquid. And again, if you ever add too much, you can always reduce it down later. And Kirby, you've asked me, why don't we chop the tomatoes and the red pepper? That's because I kept it intentionally whole when we put it under the broiler, because we never really sauteed it, and it's going to be blended down later on. So we're going to mash it as it softens up. As this continues to cook, it's going to get mashed down. But we just never needed to cut it up because we never needed to saute it or anything. It's all going to get soft, it's all going to get blended up, and we're going to get a beautiful, homogeneous sauce all the way through. Okay, my friends, let's have a little recap. Let's have a little recap session. We're doing three things. We're doing Spaetzle, we're doing the red pepper sauce, and we're doing the lamb meatballs. For the red pepper sauce, we charred the tomatoes, we charred the bell peppers, we fried some onions, we fried some garlic, we toasted cumin seeds, black pepper, paprika, and cayenne. We blended it all up, we threw it inside, okay, and we added a little splash of liquid, and we cooked all of it in olive oil. And that's the start of our bell pepper sauce. We have to cook it down now for 30 minutes to an hour, okay? And then we're going to blend it down with some half and half, and then cook it down even further until we get the viscosity that we want. I want a sweet, I want a smoky sauce, I want it spicy, I want it salty, I want it to taste like cumin. It's gonna be a really delicious sauce. The only part of the sauce that we're actually missing at the moment is gonna be some of the parsley. We're going to finish it with some freshly chopped parsley. So let's go ahead and do that now, my friends. Okay. Oh, I lost my scene. So let's get some parsley out, and I'll talk to you about the parsley in a second. And again, do you need parsley in something like this? No. But we are going to include parsley in every single other component, and I thought it would be cute to finish a sauce like this with some parsley, make it nice and aromatic, add a little bit of freshness to it in the end. Okay? Oh, what's a Spaetzle? Beautiful question. A Spaetzle is a German little dumpling. A dumpling not in the, like traditional like Chinese sense of like a stuffed dumpling, but when I say dumpling, I mean more like a gnocchi or like an American chicken and dumplings. It is a batter that we're going to make with a little bit of flour, with a little bit of egg, and then it gets sort of cut up over boiling water, and we're going to get this really delicious pasta-like texture. And I love doing Spaetzle at home because I hate doing pasta doughs at home. Doing pasta at home is a real pain in the ass. You have to roll it out, you have to work with dough, and I notoriously hate working with dough. It's not realistic to do. But what Spaetzle does is it gives you that fresh pasta-like taste and texture. Except it's quick and it's easy to do at home. It is my favorite thing to do. I love it. Okay, parsley. We're gonna need a bunch of parsley today. We're gonna need it in basically everything. So, my friends, parsley, washed, rinsed. You have to wash your parsley, you have to wash your cilantro. It's full of sand sometimes, and you don't want sand in your food. We're gonna take some out. And this is purely the parsley that we're gonna use for garnishing reasons. We're going to finish the sauce with this, but we're also gonna blend down parsley for the Spaetzle. We're gonna blend down parsley for the meatball mixture as well, and I'll talk to you about that in a second. For the garnish, we don't really need these stems. So we're just plucking out all the leaves. And again, everybody, you should be making Spaetzle at home. You should be. It is so easy, it is so convenient. You just have to go ahead and get a tool for it. But it gives you everything that fresh pasta does for you, except, I think, better. I just love the texture of it. It's perfect. Okay. I'm just getting this done and out of the way in advance, so we don't have to worry about it later on. Okay. Just getting it all off the big stem because this is the parsley that's going to be used for the garnish. The parsley that we're blending down, we can keep the stems on. And it's going to be blended down and it's going to be added into the Spaetzle so that it gets it like a very nice, pretty like green hue to it. I think it'll be really cute for us to do. Okay. So, guess what? This is all of our parsley. Take it, bundle it up, don't crush it in your hand. Hold it like you would a baby bird. You want to make sure it doesn't fall out of your hand and dies as it splats on the ground, but you also don't want to crush it in your hand either. So firm, but gentle. I feel like Chef said that in South Park, right? Something about holding, anyways, don't worry about it. Point is, hold it in your hand. And then we're going to bundle it up. And we're going to nicely and thinly slice it. We're not chopping it. We're slicing it. We want to get some beautiful shreds of parsley. As thin as you can go. We're not chopping it. We're not cleaving it like an axe. We're using the full length of the knife here. Okay? Is there a hidden code between each frame? No. I just go through the VODs myself, Moonha. Okay, and then give the whole thing a nice 90-degree rotation. And we're going to keep going through this. As long as you're gentle, you can't really over-slice this. Just be gentle, my friends. Don't chop this. Don't fucking go at it like this. No, absolutely not. Don't do this rock chop shit either. That's how you bruise your vegetables. That's how you bruise your parsley, and you get all of it to oxidize immediately. And then all the chlorophyll spills out, and then it's just brown and tasteless. If you want your parsley to actually have some taste, you have to slice it. You have to slice it. It is not an option. It is not a question. I'm not asking you to slice it. I am telling you to slice it. Is that clear? I want to hear a yes, chef. I want to hear a yes, chef right now. Oh yeah, that sauce is coming along. Excellent. We just want all of it to cook. We want all of it to soften up. We want to smash up the tomatoes as it goes. And it's all going to get blended down, my friends. Yeah, chef, perfect. That's what I want to see. Okay, my friends, just keep going through all of this. We're not bruising it. We're slicing it. We're slicing it. We're slicing it. We're showing it a lot of love, a lot of care, a lot of affection. Tattoo artists, they don't go on you with dull needles. They're not tearing up your skin. You don't want to do the same thing to your parsley. You're a tattoo artist. Give it what it wants, and it will treat you well. Yeah, it still hurts. You just don't want to do it too much. Okay, this is enough. We're not going to go too crazy with this. We have some big pieces. It's fine. It's fresh herbs. It'll be okay. Use your bench scraper. And you can tell, by the way, that we didn't crush it because it doesn't look wet. It does not look wet. If you ever see like your herbs are like wet and they look brown and they're sticking to your cutting board, that tells you that you've over sliced it. But look at this. We didn't release any of its water. Perfect. That's what I'm talking about. Beautifully sliced up parsley. Doesn't have to be completely even. There's one left at the bottom. Okay. And now, we've done that. So, my friends, we have to talk about everything else that we need to do. We have two other things we need to make today, right? Because we're not just making a sauce. We're going to make the Spaetzle itself. We're going to make the batter in advance, and then we have to do the meatball. We have to talk about meatball theory. So, for the Spaetzle, it's going to be a pasta. I want to have some blended parsley in there because I want to dye the whole thing green and I think it'll look pretty. Is this a necessary step? Not in the slightest. It is not a necessary step by any means. I just think it'll be really cute for us to do. So let's figure out how we want to do that right now. Okay. Once again, the stove is currently going. You can see that the sauce is boiling away. We're looking to soften all the vegetables and you want to occasionally scrape down the sides. That's where a lot of the reduced sauce is. You don't want to waste it. You don't want to burn it. You want to consistently clean your pan. And we're going to get a beautiful sauce in no time, my friends. Okay. And you can cook it down as much as you want. The longer you cook it, the sweeter it tends to get. The less you cook it, the more of the fresh flavor you tend to preserve. Took a little sip of water. And now, we're going to need some blended parsley for both the Spaetzle and for the meatball itself. I don't like using sliced herbs inside of meatballs. I love doing the blended herbs because it really permeates the whole thing. Now, we do lose quite a bit of flavor when we blend the whole thing down as opposed to slicing it. Right? It does oxidize quite a bit. We're breaking down the structure of it. But honestly, that's okay. This is almost always for aesthetic reasons. And parsley can stand up to that kind of bruising. It just can. So here's what we're going to do. All this parsley is going in here. We might even, in fact... I'm thinking, should I add some oil before I try to blend it as is? Or am I just going to get a paste? I don't know how successful I'll be with blending it down just like that without any extra water. I think we're gonna have to do a little bit of extra water in this, just so we can get like that really delicious parsley paste. Okay. So let's do a little splash of water in here. Right, just so that we can get a really, really delicious paste, my friends. And all of this is going to get incorporated in both the Spaetzle, the diet green, and it's going to give some aroma, it's going to give some taste to the meatballs. Okay. I need to go ahead and plug in my little handheld immersion blender. This is what I'm going to be using. I got to plug this in. Going to need a second to be able to get that done. Please be patient. Thank you very much. Okay. That's like that. I really wish I had an outlet a little closer to this setup, because if that was the case, I'd be able to blend things like there's no tomorrow. And again, I am doing this. I'm kind of inspired by like Arias almost. Also, welcome on in the Hungry Service. Hope you're having a beautiful day. I'm kind of inspired by Arias when you blend down herbs, and you sort of add it to the ground meat. So we're just getting it in there. We're getting it all crushed up. And we want to get a little parsley paste to add into everything. Yeah, so a handheld immersion blender. Probably not the best tool for the job, but it'll get it done eventually. Oh shit, did I not lock it? Guys, I don't think I locked it in place. It just slipped out. Okay. That was not a good idea. Please don't do what I just did there. That was almost dangerous for a second, or at least made a mess. Huh, is my locking mechanism on this breaking? It might be. And so, by the way, if you want to have a much more stable flavor of the parsley itself, this is going to kill a lot of its flavor, especially as it tends to sit. What you can do is, there's a specific temperature that you can heat up soft herbs to, especially things like cilantro, especially things like basil, where if you blanch it in some hot water, shock it, and then blend it down, it holds onto its flavor a lot better, especially if you're doing it in something like an oil. This is mostly for aesthetics. So I'm not going to go through that entire process, but you can look it up. Look up, let's say, I bet like Chef Steps has a really good video on doing like a basil oil, on like a parsley oil, on a cilantro oil. If you heat it up to a certain temperature, you can get it to be a lot more stable. Okay, we're getting this nice little healthy green smoothie out of all of this parsley. We're mixing it around, we're moving it around. Again, this is not the best tool for the job. I just didn't have that much parsley that I wanted to bust out a regular blender. In fact, what I should probably also do is get a little spoon to constantly scrape down the sides. Right, just to be able to move it around, because it did tend to cake up a little bit down there. Is everybody enjoying the stream so far? Does anybody have any questions at the moment for me? I'm pretty excited for today's stream, because these are all things I've wanted to do for a little bit, and I just haven't been able to do Spaetzle in a while. I haven't been able to do Spaetzle, I haven't been able to do like proper meatballs, show off what I consider high-level meatball theory. Yeah, Chef, how was Christmas? It was lovely. I got to spend it with a lovely friend of mine. Got to cook for them. It was great. Oh, it made me so happy. I never really celebrated a Christmas before because I am Jewish. And so, for me, Christmas every single year would just be the ordering Chinese food day, ordering a little bit of like Chinese takeout. That's like the quintessential American Jewish experience, right, to do on Christmas Day. But now I'm a little bit older, I want to go ahead and celebrate with my friends. And Kirby, I am very serious about wanting to do Brazilian food. I know almost nothing about Brazilian cooking, and I would love to become more educated on it. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting a nice little parsley paste. It's blending up, slowly but surely. Yeah, this is just the quintessential American Jewish experience. Anybody that grew up American Jewish in any shape or form, right, especially because we used to have like skiing trips as a kid, that'd be the only thing that was open on Christmas. It's great. You'd be like, oh shit, we didn't buy groceries and everything is closed on Christmas again for the 30th time. How could we forget? Okay. Feijoada sounds fun to do. I would love to do that sometime. Okay. I think that is sufficient. It doesn't have to be completely like super fine paste all the way through. It is basically just kind of up to you. We just wanted to evenly incorporate both into the meatballs and into the Spaetzle itself. And so this, I'm gonna go ahead and throw under some water right now so this doesn't dry up. Otherwise it becomes a real pain in the ass to clean after. I'm gonna go ahead and unplug my blender for now. Ugh. A little bit of a slow start. I'm sorry we got like delayed and interrupted earlier, but I feel like we're now getting back to business. We're getting back on track. Okay. So my friends, guess what? We have this beautiful little parsley paste, or attempt at a paste, and this is gonna get added to both the meatballs and to the Spaetzle. So the Spaetzle, we are going to need to make the batter now, and then afterwards we'll make the meatballs, because the Spaetzle batter, it does need a little bit of time for it to just sort of rest. It needs a little bit of time for it to just kind of chill out. So I'm gonna start setting some stuff aside. We're gonna get our bowls prepared. Okay? We're gonna just quickly wipe down our station. Make sure that we're keeping nice and clean, my friends, because you have to clean as you go. Also, I have never made mole. I've loved mole to death. Oh, I remember the mole I had in Mexico City. I will never forget it. I will never forget the mole I had in Mexico City, man. It was so good. It was so special. It was so delicious. I love mole. And it is one of the most misunderstood dishes, I feel like, in cuisine here. Because people like to think about mole as a sauce, but it is not a sauce. It is a secret third thing. It is really special. It's not a stew, it's not a sauce. It is something that we don't really have a term for. It is the main dish, it is the main event. Okay, so we're gonna need 2 bowls. And one of these, the batter is gonna be made, and one of these, we're just gonna be mixing up the milk and the egg for this. Okay, so let's begin this process now. So here's what we've gotta do. We have to portion out the amount of flour we're using. We have to portion out the amount of milk and eggs. We want to evenly and separately beat up the milk and eggs. The reason we separately mix up the milk and eggs is so that we have no streaks of egg inside of the batter itself. We don't want to overmix the batter because we can easily overdevelop the amount of gluten, and then the Spaetzle becomes way too chewy. Okay? And mole is spelled M-O-L-E. So in here is going to be the egg and the milk. So let's get that started now. 3 whole eggs. And again, I am basically stealing America's Test Kitchen proportions on the Spaetzle, but you can basically play around with it. This is not a it's not super scientific, it's not a super exact kind of dough. You're just gonna look for a specific texture, and I'm gonna show you what that texture is. So, my friends, we're gonna take an egg, we're gonna crack it inside. I don't know why I chose to crack it against another egg. Okay? No, guacamole and mole are not the same at all. Okay? 2 eggs, 1 last one. Excellent. 3 eggs. I'm gonna go ahead and set that aside. Get my eggshells out of here. Throw this into the dishwasher while I have a second of time. Okay, 3 whole eggs. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add the milk. Also, Audio Murphy, thank you so much for reminding me to hydrate. In total, we need about 3/4 of a cup of milk. I usually end up adding a whole cup by the end of it to get like the consistency that I want, but start with 3/4 and then you can always add more if it's a little too dry. So, milk time. Actually, I'm first gonna do the flour because I'm gonna use the same exact measuring cup. So, into this big bowl, remember we're separating the dry and the wet and then adding in the wet so that we can evenly mix in the wet. I would not do this all in the same bowl because we risk overdeveloping the gluten and getting way too chewy of a Spaetzle. We're using flour. You can use any kind of flour that you want. And yes, Kaze, hydrate is 5K channel points because people used to spam the shit out of me. Also, hello, Vegetarian Supreme. Welcome on in. Okay. This is a fresh batch of flour I have here. I'm using King Arthur flour. It's a fairly good brand of American flour. We don't have a lot of good American flour. King Arthur, it's up there. It's pretty tight. You can't go wrong with it. So, here's what we need. We're gonna need about 2 cups of flour. You don't have to be too exact with this, my friends. You can be as imprecise as you want. Because remember, this isn't a super scientific thing. We're not leavening anything. We're not baking pastries. This is a Spaetzle dough. So we're using 2 cups of flour. This is half a cup measure at the moment. But it's not precise. I'm not like packing it. I'm not weighing anything. I'm not doing anything crazy like that. It's completely unnecessary for something like this. That is roughly 2 cups of flour. Roughly. I don't want you to go crazy with this process. Okay? This is meant to be a home food. This is meant to be really, really easy to do at home. And I promise you this batter is extremely forgiving. Okay. Next. What did you miss? Well, we've started on the sauce. Now we're working up to the Spaetzle. So, my friends, and now we're going to need about 3/4 of a cup of milk. I fucking love milk, dude. Sorry. Okay. That's about half a cup, right? And we're going to need another half cup, right, to get 3/4. And again, don't add too much liquid now. You can always add some a little later on. Next. Yes, everybody hates on whole milk. I love whole milk. Only whole milk. Okay, I don't use 2%. I don't use skim milk. You will never see that in my household, ever. Unacceptable. There is no point to using it for me. It's a complete waste. I love whole milk. Okay, it's viscous, it's sweet, it's delicious. Okay, my friends. Okay, but if you do need a daily recommendation, that's a beautiful question. Let's see. Papa Leshin asks, Chef Daramgar, do you have any recommended substitutions for dairy in this application, or do all of them kind of work? All of them kind of work. The milk is mostly for taste. You can probably use water in something like this. You might just need some extra fat being like from some oil or something, but you can use whatever liquid that you would want for Spaetzle. It's a batter, right? The milk isn't doing anything too crazy on a chemical level here, aside from the fact that we're adding a little bit of fat and we're adding a little bit of sugar. Naturally by doing so. So you can use oat milk, you can do whatever you want as long as you have a little bit of extra fat and sugar added to it. I think you can also Google it in this specific case. I've never done it with a substitution for milk because milk has always worked good for me and I've never felt the need to experiment with this. Next, some of the parsley paste that we added on, that we blended up ourselves. We're gonna do a couple spoons of that. It's gonna make the whole thing nice and green, make it nice and pretty. 1, 2, maybe a little bit more. Lovely. And now we'll do a bunch of salt because it'll easily dissolve into the milk. I regularly do cooking streams, Nikki. So we have a special holiday schedule. Go to the Twitch thing, or you can just look at the offline screen once we're offline. But I normally do them every single Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. In this case, we're doing a special holiday schedule. So it's gonna be today, it's gonna be tomorrow, Saturday, it's gonna be Sunday, all 5 p.m. Eastern time, and then Tuesday. And then I'm off for a little bit because I have some stuff to do. So, big pinches of salt because we want to make sure that our Spaetzle is nice and seasoned. We're going to get some black pepper in here as well. Welcome on, Nikki. Everybody, I want to hear a resounding welcome in, Nikki. That's what I want to hear. Everybody, please welcome on in, Nikki. So, a bunch of black pepper going in because I want this nicely seasoned. I want delicious Spaetzle. And then, my friends, the secret component, well, it's not that much of a secret, actually. But it is a component that is very important to me in its use here. Oh, shit, I'm not able to actually get it open that well. Also, Daramgar, my family, thank you so much for the gifted sub. That's very sweet of you. Also, by the way, everybody, I hate to do this, and I'm going to only do this once. If anybody would like to tip and donate, grocery costs have been actually getting quite expensive lately for the streams and whatnot. I've had to take on some more responsibility with those. If anybody would be able to help out, ! tip or donate or scroll down. There should be something for it. I really, really need some help to balance these out because I don't think I'm profiting too much off of this. Or in fact, not at all. Okay, did I just get some of the tape in my hair? I did. I accidentally got tape in my hair. Do Prime subs help? Yes. Prime subs help. Anything helps, right? In this case, donations are like the most direct way to assist, but anyways, I really do appreciate it. Okay. Guys, I have tape accidentally stuck in my hair. Also, Nathaniel, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Oh, this sucks. Oh, this is the worst. I was peeling the tape off of my spices, and I accidentally got some in my hair. Okay, so my friends, we have some whole nutmeg. Chef, how do I feel about green eggs? Same way I feel about ham. I don't know how to answer your question. I'm just not able to get this container open at the moment. It's kind of annoying. I guess I didn't take all the tape off. Please tell me I took all the tape off. I should have done this beforehand, and I didn't. Okay, guess what? Whole nutmeg. We don't use pre-ground nutmeg anymore. Whole nutmeg. Super, super aromatic, super flavorful. It's a completely different product from pre-ground nutmeg. We're going to grate some of this in. Okay? But it's okay. Welcome back, Asnold. Hello, hello. So my friends, all we're going to do, we're just going to get in there. We're going to shave a little bit of nutmeg. I'm trying to figure out the best angle with which to do this. And it's really, really potent. Okay? Also, thank you so much. Oh, shit. Dosky, I don't know what to say to you. I'm going to follow your wishes. I'm not going to acknowledge it. I lied. Dosky, thank you so much for the $100 donation. That's very, very sweet of you. Thank you. Okay, I'm trying my best to do this. This is my shitty microplane that's kind of shaped weird to try and grate it on in. There we go. And you don't need too much. We just want a little taste of this stuff. Okay? That's plenty. Plenty of nutmeg. Which ingredient, Kirby? I'm not sure which one you're talking about in this case. Okay, and now let's whisk it all together. A little bit of nutmeg, parsley, black pepper. Nothing too crazy, my friends. I'm going to give the sauce a stir. You want to scrape down the sides. We're softening up all the vegetables. If it ever looks like it's getting too dry, mash it up some more and we'll add some more liquid as needed. Okay. So, let's go ahead and do this. We're going to whisk all of this together until it's completely homogeneous. And so, everybody, I want to talk to you about some fluid dynamics. It's been studied. It's been researched. The best way to incorporate something is to go side to side. Not this figure eight shit, not like this, the way that your mom beats scrambled eggs, side to side. Because we don't care about error, we just care about mixing everything through. Also, Death Owl, thank you so much for the gifted sub. Really, really sweet of you. Just go side to side, and it really, really quickly and really, really easily comes together. Not this, we're not doing this motion, we're not doing this. It's completely and utterly unnecessary. And so you can smell the perfume of the nutmeg, you can smell the parsley, you can smell the black pepper, and look how quickly it comes together if you just do side to side. And mix it through now. Mix it through now so that we can just gently mix this into the flour. We want to mix this as much as possible at this stage. I'm sorry, guys. Your parents are going to catch strays on the stream. I'm very critical of the way that they've cooked food. I'm sure they've made some great food, but a lot of the methods have been inefficient. Side to side is the way to go. Okay, guess what? We have a fully mixed up and incorporated egg here. We're just going to do a little bit more just to be certain. Want to make sure that the salt is all dissolved. Want to make sure that we have no streaks of egg white or anything. That looks good to me. Nice big balloon whisk does the job just fine. We're going to pour all of it in, my friends. And again, if it's ever too dry, we can always add in some more milk later on. Okay? Grab a spoon, grab whatever you want. And now, my friends, gently, we're making a batter. We're going to stir away through the lumps of flour, but what we're not going to do is stir this into oblivion and get a super, super wound up ball of dough. Gently. Do you see how gently I'm going at this? I don't want to overdevelop the gluten. I just want all of this to come together. You can overmix something like this. And then eventually, it becomes a little bit more batter-like and less soup-like. It's going to be really, really similar to pancake batter. And again, I'm using all-purpose flour. Yes, in this case, you want to hand mix this one, rabbit raisins. That's a very good question. You want to hand mix this because an electric mixer risks over mixing this. And you have no reason to use a whisk for this because we're using a spoon to scrape up the sides. And now we're just stirring away any of the lumps that might have appeared. And look how quickly this comes together and becomes a beautiful batter, my friends. But we have to keep going because we have a lot of lumps of flour. So we can't stop now. And it's going to hydrate when we let it rest. We have to let this batter rest. It's dyed slightly green from all the parsley that we've added in. Ah, beautiful. That is actually almost the perfect consistency for Spaetzle. Do you have any tips if you still end up with clumps of flour? Yes, you should be doing smaller batches. You should be probably doing smaller batches, wifey. Although I will say I'm not an expert when it comes to cakes, and also lumps of flour is sometimes okay, especially in batters like these, especially in pancake batters. You can 100% have lumps. And in fact, if you overmix it, also you need to sift your flour. Sift your flour if you're doing a cake. Put it through a sieve, get some sort of a sifting thing. You have to sift it because otherwise the flour can naturally come out in lumps. Always, always, always sift. Okay, my friends, look at this lovely batter that we've built up. Look at this thing, huh? You don't like lamb? Audio Murphy. Trust me, you're gonna learn how to like lamb by the end of this. Look at this thing, beautiful. That, first try, without needing any more moisture, was the perfect amount for 2 cups of flour. And again, if it's too thick, if you feel like you can't actually press it through, this is the Spaetzle tool that we will be using. This little guy right here. If you feel like it can't go through that, that means it's not liquidy enough. But again, it is fairly forgiving. This kind of a thing does not have to be exact by any means. Ooh, that sauce is going. It smells amazing. Beautiful. Okay, keep mixing it. A little bit more. I'm just going to then check for the consistency, and we're also scraping up the sides. This is perfect. That is exactly what Spaetzle batter should look like. Beautiful. Excellent. Okay, let's get it off the spoon. We've done it, my friends. That is the batter. And now we're just gonna cover this up with plastic wrap and we're gonna let it chill out until we're ready to cook with it. But at least you wanna let it rest for like 30 minutes or so. And that is so that we can hydrate the flour fully. If you do it at this stage, the flour is not fully hydrated. This is not the final texture of the Spaetzle. It is going to be flavorful. We have the nutmeg, we have the parsley, and it's going to be in that delicious red pepper sauce that we're currently building. Everybody, are you excited for today? Are you excited all for today? Oh, Jack, that was a good question. You asked me if it's dry to wet or wet to dry. I usually do wet to dry for something in this proportion, but it doesn't really matter too much. I'm excited for today. So, everybody, we are cooking at home. You know what that means? We clean as we go. You have to clean as you go. You are not cooking in a restaurant. You don't have a professional dishwasher unless you just have it like that. And guess what? I am too. This is a one-man show. So, I'm going to clean as I go. Ooh. Oh, that fucking rhymed. Nice. Okay. Oh, I have such a cute new necklace. Life's good. Okay. Just putting some stuff away. Getting this done now. And then we're going to go ahead and check on the sauce and see how my little saucepan is doing. So just taking a second to get this done, my friends. Just get this out of the way. Why'd you clip that? Yeah, that was Buzz. Me doing one little grind. Okay. Okay, we put some stuff away. We got rid of some stuff. Good. Let's head back to the sauce, my friends. Well, no, Kazi, don't worry. We're putting it inside of my dishwasher. Let's head to the sauce. So take a look. We've reduced a lot of the liquid at this point. A lot of it is gone, and we have to continue to scrape up the sides. This is now a little too dry. And again, it's all gonna get blended up. It's all gonna be perfect. But right now, we just want to continue to soften everything. And it's slowly caramelizing and browning on the edges of the pan as the solids stick to it. So make sure you're continuously scraping it up, and it smells gorgeous. It smells wonderful. We're going to keep it cooking, and we're going to add in a little splash of water so it doesn't burn at the bottom. We want everything to get really, really soft. We want everything to get really, really delicious inside of the sauce. Also, hello, night owls. Hope you're having a day as beautiful as you today. Well, that was smooth. Okay, I need some plastic wrap, and I actually don't know if I have any left. Do I not have any left? I do have some left. Excellent. I'm just covering up my batter, and I'm setting it aside. We're just getting all of the prep done now, my friends. And so I'm going to be cooking the meatballs sort of like Italian style, which is going to be us, we're going to sear it first. I'm going to sear it under the broiler, and then I'm going to finish cooking it in the sauce until it's ready. I'm doing wonderful, night owls. Thank you for asking. Okay. Just gonna wrap that up, gonna cover it up. And again, you wanna make sure that you're consistently and continuously scraping up the bottom of your sauce so that it doesn't burn, so that it doesn't like char on the bottom, because it gets really, really thick and viscous on the bottom, and the water naturally rises to the top. Okay. Excellent. Looks good. Tastes even better. That is so full of flavor. Even without being blended down, I'm telling you, that sauce is so flavorful. You're getting the smokiness. Oh, beautiful. Okay, everybody, little recap session. Let's do a little recap. So, here's what we're doing today. Everybody type an exclamation mark menu. Actually, one person do that. Just one person needs to do that. We're making 3 things today. We're making a delicious Parsley Spaetzle. We're making a red pepper tomato sauce. And we're also doing a lamb meatball. So at the moment, currently simmering away on the stove, here's what we did. We charred the bell peppers, we charred the tomatoes, we sauteed some onion, we sauteed some garlic, we added in freshly toasted and we ground ourselves cumin, black pepper, cayenne, and paprika. Cooked all that in olive oil, added some water, and now we're letting it soften, and we're gonna blend it, finish it with some half and half. Then, we worked on making the batter for the Spätzle, this German pasta dumpling. It's gonna be super delicious. We blended down some parsley, added some nutmeg, some eggs, some milk, some flour, some salt, some pepper, mixed it all up, and now we're letting it rest. We're letting the dough hydrate, because we wanna make sure every granule of flour is nicely hydrated. Okay, I'm taking a second to clean up my station. I'm taking a second to get rid of some things. Everybody, when you have pasta time, when you have downtime, the best thing that you can do is clean as you go, always and forever. So, here's what we have to do. We have to make the meatball mixture. So let's talk about that now. Let's talk about what I'm doing for it. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get a nice big bowl. You want a bowl that's a little bit too big. And the reason for this is because we're gonna get our hands in there. We're gonna get our hands in there and mash and mix everything up. And if your bowl is too small, or if it perfectly fits the amount of meat that you have, you won't be able to go in there and mix it up. It's all gonna spill out, it's gonna make a mess. You want a bowl, you want some big bowls. Bowls. I've been watching The Sopranos, I've been saying things with an Italian accent lately. Okay, big metal bowl. Then, remember the parsley that we had from before? We're gonna add that in now. I see like one stem that was accidentally left over. I'm gonna try my best to get rid of it. Okay, so all the parsley that we made, we have some big stems left over. We're gonna go ahead and pick those out in just a second. I guess maybe de-stemming it for this would have actually been ideal for a hand blender like that. Okay, and it's gonna give the whole thing a very nice vegetal taste to it. I was inspired by the way that people do arrayas for something like this. Okay, this is our parsley paste and the liquid from that. I'm gonna go ahead and set that aside. We won't need that. And now, my friends, we have to talk about what actually distinguishes a meatball from a burger. Everybody, repeat after me. A meatball, or at least a Western style meatball, has bread in it. What does the bread do? It makes the whole thing a lot softer to the bite. You don't want a meatball that tastes like a hockey puck. To actually get a tender meatball, you need a bread component. You need a bread component. Is that clear? I want to hear a universal, resounding yes, chef. I want to hear a yes, chef. Meatball has bread in it. Perfect. Good. That's right. So guess what we're going to do? Guess what we're going to do? We're going to go ahead and take some bread and we're going to tear it up, and then we're going to soak it in milk. And the reason for that, and we're going to soak it in this parsley juice, is so that we can evenly mix it and incorporate it. Some people, they add in breadcrumbs. I find that you get little pockets of breadcrumbs that way. This is just blended parsley, Kirby. And again, does anybody have any questions at this moment? Here we go. Nice big loaf of country bread. We're using about 1.5 pounds of ground lamb here to 2 pounds. I'm just going to tear it off chunks. You can take a slice and tear it off. I don't care. Live your life. I'm just tearing off chunks and throwing it in. Tearing off chunks, throwing it in, crust and all. I'm not using a whole loaf. I'm using a fucking slice and a half of bread or something. The more you use, the softer the texture is going to be. Okay? We're going to use about 1.5 slices worth of bread for 1.5 pounds of meat. It does not matter too much. Just remember, the more bread that you add, the softer it's going to be. And the green stuff in the bowl, Kirby, it's blended parsley. We made a parsley paste. Ugh. And this is a Russian-style country loaf. It's made with rye and wheat flour. You can use any kind of bread. You can use semolina bread. You can use whatever you actually have laying around. Okay? Crust and all. And then we're going to add a splash of milk and we're going to soak it. And so, my friends, here's what I like doing. I like making the meatball mixture completely separate from the meat so that it evenly seasons it. Remember how we did the batter for the Spaetzle? Yes, it is the same. Yeah, so I set aside half of it. Remember how we did the Spaetzle where we mixed the dry and then added it into the flour, or the wet and then into the flour? We're doing the same thing with the ground meat here, so we can make sure that all the seasoning is evenly mixed up. It's a lot easier to make this paste with the parsley, with the bread, with the spices that we'll be using, and then mix it in instead of dumping everything on top of the meat itself. Okay, a little bit more. Actually, I think that's plenty. That's plenty of bread. Again, doesn't really matter. You just need some to get the job done. And the more you add relative to the amount of meat you have, the softer it's all going to be. And now here's what we do. I'm going to set this bread aside. We don't need it anymore. Okay. Just setting it aside here. And now we're going to add a splash of milk to be able to hydrate this. Does anybody have any questions? Splash of milk. 1, 2, something like that. And again, the milk there is just mostly for flavor, just so that we can hydrate it with something that's not water. You can use any kind of liquid for this that you would like. Okay? And now we add in all the seasonings into this directly. And we're going to let it soak, and we're going to get a paste to then flavor the meatballs with. So, first up, going to be the salt. No, we're making the meatballs right now. There is a ratio of a certain weight of salt to the amount of meat that you'll be using. I'm not really checking in that regard. I'm just doing a bunch of salt. Again, I have 1.5 to 2 pounds of ground lamb here that I'm working with. Then a bunch of black pepper. How am I always so happy, chef? Guess what? I'm doing my favorite thing, which is being able to cook for others and being able to teach. Also, thank you for the continuation of the sub, Luigi. So, salt, then pepper, and also Kaze, this was the parsley paste, this was the milk. Okay. And again, these are going to be fairly plain meatballs, but you'll see what we do. Holy shit, that's a lot of black pepper. I don't care. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. And now we're going to go ahead and take a spoon and just mix this up a little bit, and we're going to make sure that the bread is soaking. We want to soften all of this bread with the parsley paste, with the milk, and that is what's going to give us nice tender balls, nice tender meatballs. I did the cooking thing. Everybody, they can't get enough of saying balls when they're saying meatballs. And we have a really big bowl so that we can get our hands in there and really mix it up, okay? Next, I love having onions in my meatballs. Now, here's what most people mess up doing. They add in raw grated onion into this directly. You can't do that. I find that it adds unnecessary moisture, and we're not really unlocking the potential sweetness of the onion that way. So here's what we're gonna do, my friends. We're gonna go to the stove. we're going to just quickly turn that off. We're going to put that on a different pan, on a different heat source rather. Okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and get another pan preheating. We're going to fry some red onions, and we're going to add that into the meatball mixture that we've made. So, you can use whatever pan you want. It's not going to be too precise. I'm using this shitty little nonstick pan. You can use any kind of oil you want, but again, I'm using olive oil because it's going to go all into the meatball. And so I want the flavor of olive oil inside, okay? You want a nice tasty oil. You can use butter, you can use whatever fat pleases you in the moment. Anything that your heart desires, my friends. And we're going to get it nicely heated up. And now, let's chop up a little red onion. So let's get back to the cutting board. Let's get that back into the frame. I have a wet paper towel here to make sure that my cutting board does not slide around or anything. Guys, I am heavily enjoying today's stream. I'm heavily enjoying today. Hope you're all having as much fun as I am. I really am. I'm very happy with the thing that we're making. Okay. So I have half a red onion here that I had left over from something else. And in this case, I want the super fine dice on this onion. I want a super fine dice. I want something really fine. And we're making incisions. We're holding it by the root end because I want this to permeate the entirety of the meatball. I don't want to get big chunks of onion. Okay? I don't want big chunks of onion or anything. I want this to be all the way incorporated. So we're fanning out the onion. We're making a bunch of little incisions. And now we slice it and we mince it up. We want tiny pieces of red onion, my friends. As thin as you can. You can grate it inside, but truthfully, I just love frying the onions for meatballs because you get a much sweeter product overall. It's a lot sweeter, it's a lot tastier, it's a lot more intentional. We're giving every single component of these meatballs a lot of love. We're not just throwing a bunch of shit into a bowl, mixing it together, and then calling it a day. Everything that we're doing today is done with the utmost of intentionality. And so, I think frying the onions is a really nice step to optimize the texture and the taste of this. That you really get the fried onion flavor instead of this like sopping wet fried onion or raw onion. Yes, so Papa Lashem, the reason we're not grating and frying, this is a really good question. In fact, I like this question so much that I'm even going to display it for everybody. Why not grate and fry, or will that just obliterate them? Think about this. A grater is very dull by comparison. The more you chop, process, and crush something, the more you're destroying cells. You're destroying the outside of the cells, and it becomes a lot more difficult for you to be able to get a really nice clean saute on something. Because the more you crush it, the more water it releases. You're never going to be able to fry onions that you grate because they're completely waterlogged. Grated onions are so wet. And so, we'll never be able to brown it. We can, of course, reduce some of the liquid, but it'll be a lot more difficult to get any sort of meaningful color developed on it. And so, by slicing it and using a very nice sharp knife like this, we're able to ensure that that happens. Okay, my oil is nice and hot. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this onto a transfer plate, like so, using the bench scraper as always. And then into the pan it goes. And you don't really have to salt it. I'd rather just control the salt by doing it all at once. You can if you'd really like to, if it makes you feel better. Okay, let's head back to the stove. And again, all of this is just gonna go into the meatball. The sauce is currently going. It's cooking up really nicely. We're going to blend it up soon. Get a final consistency. Oh, excellent. The onions are going as well, right? Woo! Oh no, my pan was so overfilled. I spilled some on the floor. Oh, no. Guys, don't do the flipping bullshit with a full pan like that. That's a mistake. That was a mistake just now. I'm gonna have to sweep this up really quickly. I have to take a second to do that. Hey, listen, I am a professional chef. I'm doing it on Twitch, thus I'm professional. Smiley face. Okay, I'm just sweeping all of this up. I'm getting all the onions out of here, off of my floor. It happens. I'd rather not leave them and then just step on them and get annoyed later on. So sweeping it up now. I'm gonna make the same mistake, except I'm just gonna gently toss it now. And again, we wanna fry these, we wanna develop some color, we wanna get rid of some excess liquid. I promise you, it's a very noticeable difference. And once it does get soft enough, once it does cook enough, you can no longer actually toss it at that point. You are going to have to start using a wooden spoon of some kind. That's exactly what we're gonna do. Wooden spoon, mix it around, flip it over. Make sure you're not just stirring, make sure you're actively flipping these onions. And we're just trying to cook all of these onions down, my friends. They've gotta go. Okay. Putting that away, putting this away. Red over sweet or white? I'm not really sure what you're asking me. Oh, are you asking what kind of wine do I like? I don't really like wine because I don't really like alcohol. Alcohol tends to make me quite sick. I think I have an alcohol allergy or intolerance. As a result, I don't really have a preference in that regard. I can't really drink, which is a bit of a tragedy. Okay. Ooh, that looks good. Looks great even. Yeah, the onions we're going to stir with a wooden spoon now because they've gotten soft enough that we can just flip them around. And now we're just cooking all of this down, my friends. Oh, red onions. It's a good question. Also, welcome on in, Dino Production. You can use whatever onions that you want, especially when they're cooked down. The only difference is actually red onions, they tend to burn a little bit easier because of the pigment. I find that they blacken a lot quicker. Otherwise, I exclusively use sweet onions and red onions. But it really doesn't matter. Favorite wine substitute in cooking? Good question, Death Owl. So, you have to first think about what does wine functionally do in a dish. It does two things. It adds acidity, it adds sweetness, and also adds the flavor, the specific flavor of wine. You could use lemon juice, you could use a little bit of sugar, you can use anything to deglaze something. I usually just do vinegar. I do a splash of vinegar. That's what I do if I'm not using wine in something. Oop, that's the wrong spoon. That's the spoon for the sauce. This is the spoon for these onions. I just don't want to mix up my flavors or anything. And you can see the size of the onions, they've reduced significantly here. Okay. Gonna take a second, gonna put some more stuff away, my friends. And yeah, we're just getting all the prep done. We're getting the sauce done. We got the batter already done for the Spaetzle. Everything is just coming together exactly the way that it needs to at the moment. Where are my bag clips? Getting my flour back into the pantry. And again, the longer you cook the onions, the more water you get out of it, the easier of a chance it has to burn. So you do want to make sure that you're babying this, right? Every so often. Oh, I'm gonna need a bag clip. I don't think I have any bag clips left. Do I? I hope I do. Okay, we're gonna have to stir the onions. Make sure that they're not burning or anything. Right, they're picking up some good color now. And again, you can use any kind of onions you want. You don't have to include onions in this. This is just a very, very general meatball technique I'm showing you. Also, welcome on in. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. Azalea. Hello, hello. So, everybody, let's do a little recap. We made the meatball mixture. We gathered all the seasonings for it, the parsley, the bread, the milk. The bread is an essential component here. We're frying the onions to go into the meatball. And over here on the stove, we also have currently the red pepper tomato sauce going. Right, it's cooking down. We're getting it all nicely reduced. We're gonna get it back to the main camera in just a moment. Once I'm done with the onions. Again, we don't have to go crazy with the onions. We're mostly looking to just reduce its volume. We're looking to soften it. And we're looking for it to just get a little bit sweeter by frying it. And we're cooking it in olive oil because all of the olive oil is gonna end up getting incorporated into the meatball. It's a really, really delicious meatball that we're gonna have here. Beautiful. So now we can just take a second to chill. Everybody hanging in there? Everybody doing good? We're all doing good? Talk to me. Let's get a little check-in, little Daramgar check-in session. And I'm gonna get some more water. Big chillin'. Happy to hear that. Hydration check. I already had some water. Yeah, you guys didn't even have to spend channel points to remind me that time. Okay. Oh yeah, those onions are going. They're almost done. We'll just give it a few more minutes. This doesn't have to be perfect. This doesn't have to be super precise. If you wanted to get fancy with it, you can do just a bunch of caramelized onions in there instead. Lovely. Just a little bit more time, my friends. Just keep it pushing. Keep it pushing, keep it going. Almost there. Almost exactly where it needs to be. I'm just making sure I'm hydrating the sauce still so it doesn't burn on the bottom or anything. Ooh, tea right now would be great. I could make myself a cup of tea for stream. Thank you for the inspiration, Jack. Okay, everybody, these onions have fried to my liking. You can go as far on it as you want. It's not super precise or anything. Let's head back to the cutting board. Actually, we're gonna have to reignite that because I'm gonna put the sauce back on. Aha, and that cut out the camera. Hilarious. Okay, I gotta remember that it does that. It's a very funny bug to have. So my friends, remember this. Doesn't look too appealing. The bread has soaked up all of the milk, and now we're adding in the hot onions. And all of that milk, all the parsley, all the bread, it's just gonna cool this off, right? Because we don't wanna add hot onions directly to ground raw meat. It's gonna make your life a lot easier here. Okay. And now, my friends, guess what? We can mix everything in. You can see that the bread has really, really soaked all of this up, right? And when it soaks it up, it's going to be able to incorporate a lot more evenly as well. But we're still getting some big pieces of the crust. We still have some big pieces of the crust of bread. You know what I also think? Because of how much extra filling we have, we might need an additional egg. You don't always need an egg in your meatballs. But if you feel like you have a lot of stuff and it's going to fall apart, you can always throw an egg in and it will, to some extent, help with the binding process. But the most important thing to make sure that a meatball doesn't fall apart, especially in a sauce, is to pre-cook it for a certain amount of time. So we're going to cook the meatballs under the broiler first. Okay. We're just chopping up, basically, the big things of the bread crust. Making sure we're getting rid of that. Great, because we want, the whole point of this, we can't overly mix this, but we can easily overly mix meatball. To make sure that all the seasonings, that tastes really good as is. We're definitely going to need more salt when we mix this in, but let's do that now. This mixture has to be too salty because all the meat that we're adding is going to be completely bland, my friends. It's going to be completely and totally bland. So add your kosher salt, get it in there, mix it up again. And now we're also going to go ahead and crack in an egg, okay? And the egg is going to make sure, it's going to give us a little bit of extra insurance in a way to make sure that the meatballs really do stay together, to stay composed. I'm stirring my sauce to make sure my sauce doesn't burn. Okay, lowering the heat on that. The sauce, once this mixture is made, we'll blend it down, we'll make the sauce. And we're just getting one whole egg in there. And we're gonna mix this all the way through, my friends. Okay, we wanna get this as evenly incorporated as possible when we end up putting this into the meatball. Blue Streak Sonic, it's going lovely. And you can tell that beautiful green color, that's from the parsley paste that we added. Excellent. So my friends, in here at the moment, milk, parsley, bread, salt, pepper, and the fried onions, okay? And I'm keeping these meatballs fairly plain because I want the sauce to really carry a lot of the flavor so that I can then easily do something else with the meatballs later on, right? Because we're gonna have some extra meatballs for tomorrow and we can make an entirely different dish with them. We're gonna have a triple back-to-back stream this weekend, today, tomorrow, and Sunday. I'm gonna be busy. Okay, guess what? We've mixed in the egg now. Just want to make sure we're getting rid of any streaks of white and yolk. Get it nice and as homogeneous as it can. And if you have any more big pieces of the crust, you really got to make sure that stuff gets mashed up, okay? You really don't want a big piece of bread inside of the meatball, and that's why it is imperative that we do this in advance. You like my shirt? Thank you. That's very sweet of you. Okay, we have now gone past the need for a spoon, and we're going to use our hand. We're going to glove up to make our lives a lot easier. And this is still before the addition of the meat. I'm using ground lamb because it's flavorful. I love ground lamb. I haven't had a chance to work with it in some time. I haven't had a chance to cook with lamb in some time. It's one of my favorite meats. So we're getting in there with our fingers and we're mashing all of this up. These big crusts, they've got to go. You could have blended it up. You could have grated the bread, done anything here, but yeah, the crusts actually might be a problem. They didn't soak up that much. And they're just kind of remaining pretty chewy inside. We'll see. What's the challenge for today? I'm not sure. What do you mean by that, Sonic? You want this as homogeneous as possible, okay? Because you don't want a big chunk of bread inside of the meatball. I'm going to keep saying that over and over as many times as it takes. And that's why we do this separately. That's why we do this in advance before it gets added in. Otherwise, it'd be impossible to unchunk it. And also, Nikki, this is country bread. This is Russian-style country bread. But you use whatever bread that you have available to you. Use whatever you have in your pantry. You can use Wonder Bread. You can use a semolina bread. You can use a roll. You can use a brioche if it's stale. Okay? You can use whatever you actually want. And so I'm also just going to come back to the stove really quickly and make sure I'm stirring up my sauce, making sure it doesn't burn or anything. While I'm stepping away, it's getting fairly dry and viscous. Okay. In fact, I could probably turn off the heat now. I'm going to turn off the heat on the sauce. Okay. I'm glad I can calm you down, Jack. I'm glad I can help. Beautiful. It's getting there. You got to keep processing this. And the longer you let it soak, the easier it's going to become, of course. But you really, really have to make sure it's all broken down. I want to hear a yes, chef. I'm repeating myself so many times because it is just that important. And you don't have to use parsley. You can use cilantro. You don't have to use any herbs in here at all. You can use the fried onion. You can also not use any onion. You can use whatever combination of spices that you would like. But the egg here is functional for the binding. The bread is essential, although you can use any kind of bread that you want. Azalea, thank you so much for the sub. And of course, everybody, since we're winding things down and we're getting to this part of the stream, if you have any questions, please ask me. Anything at all, I'm here to help you with. Yeah, I'm still picking out like little bits of the crust. I'm just smushing it all with my hands. I'm making sure to do this as much as possible now, so when we add the meat, all we have to do is really mix it up. Beautiful. This delicious paste. Do I use bread and egg? Yes. Is the lip piercing new? Not at all, Jack. I've had this for quite some time, basically a year now. I think I got it in the fall of last year. It's just quite noticeable. It matches with my necklace. Okay. Almost there. Okay. Some still bits to work out, my friends. I'm sorry for how repetitive I'm being. This process just does take some time. I happen to cut up the bread into too big of pieces. Same process for beef/other meatballs? Yes, absolutely. Except the only thing is you'll never really see me doing like chicken meatballs because I hate the texture of them. They're so dry. I hate doing chicken or poultry meatballs. I think they're nonsense. I've never had one that was particularly convincing. Okay. Also, I do use Ititskaze. Now, guess what? We did it. That's the paste. And all of this is going to get incorporated in. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Rabbit. I got quite lucky. My lip piercing didn't reject. Okay. So my friends, it's time for us to now add in the ground lamb, the ground beef mixture. It's a half lamb, half beef thing. You can use whatever kind of meats that you want. This is just what they had at my local store, my local supermarket. I'm just gonna go ahead and plop all of it right on in. All of it goes in now. Okay? We're gonna mix it up, and then we're going to do a taste test. we're going to do a taste test to make sure that it has enough salt. So, the ground lamb, the ground meat. And again, there's no exact proportions here. The more bread you add, the softer it gets. That's all you need to know. And you can, what I do recommend doing though, is probably figuring out like the amount of salt you need for your weight. Also, thank you. It's very sweet of you. I'm trying my best here. It's a kind of one-man show. And so, I want to be able to make these streams the best that I possibly can for everybody's enjoyment, for everybody's viewing pleasure. Okay. My friends, here's what we got to do. So we can do a taste test completely raw. That's kind of like grandma style. For the sake of being presentable on stream, we'll, not do that. Also, hello, I love Army Wives. You know, I've still never forgotten you. You play Melee, right? I remember the one time you popped by the stream, and I was like, that is the coolest tag ever. Welcome on in. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. Okay. I want to get a tattoo, but you can't be a blood donor if I do? I see. Yeah, I see you on Twitter occasionally, I think. Your tag will always stick out for me. It's great. Okay, my hand was a little wet when I tried to get my glove on, my nitrile glove. And now, my friends, guess what? Remember, the parsley paste. I'm gonna get more light on this, actually, so y'all can see this. Okay. Remember, my friends, the parsley paste, the fried onions, okay, salt, the pepper, the egg, and the meat, as well as the soaked bread and milk. And now, my friends, look at this. Because we made the separate paste for it, we made the separate seasoning paste. Now it's so easy to mix this in. This is Meatballs 101. Mix everything that is not the meat beforehand. And then when you add the meat in, it becomes so much easier to get everything evenly incorporated like so. Get it in there and get it done, my friends. Look at this mixture. Get it all in. It becomes so much easier to do this process once you've done these prerequisites. Okay, and you want this thing to be homogeneous. You don't want any lumps of anything. You don't want any pockets of meat that haven't got in the bread because they'll get rubbery. The whole point is for the bread to evenly incorporate everything, the seasoning to be able to get evenly distributed. It's going to take some mixing. Look at the red pockets. You see the green pockets, red pockets? You got to keep going. You have to keep going. Punch it down, scrape it up. Don't worry too much about over mixing this. This isn't a burger patty or anything. Get it all in there. Scrape up the sides. We want everything to go into these meatballs. We're beating the meat. That's right. We're getting the job done. Ooh, that's a big old leaf of parsley. That'll burn easily. We don't want that. If you think you've mixed it enough, guess what? You haven't. I promise you there's some still like unseasoned pockets hiding away somewhere. That haven't gotten all this meat paste. And remember when I said get a bowl that's too big? Look how comfortable it is for me to reach in. I told you, get a bowl that's a little too big, and as a result, nothing is spilling over the sides when we make the meatball mixture. Beautiful. Now that's what I call a meatball. Dare I say, God forbid, Mamma Mia. Okay. A little bit more mixing. It's all gonna come together. And remember, the tension and the toughness of this is really gonna be mitigated by the presence of the bread. Do the hand thing when I say Mamma Mia. Okay. Guess what? Look at this mixture. Beautiful. Here's what we do. We're gonna take a little pan. We're gonna go heat it up, and we're going to now taste it. My guess, this doesn't have enough salt. If I was doing this off stream, I would just taste the meat as is. Okay. 1 second, I'm gonna get a pan onto the heat. I'm just gonna use the same pan that I did for the onions. It'll be fine. Let's head to the stove. And now, my friends, this is the essential part. We want to make sure that we're tasting it. We want to make sure it has enough salt. So we're heating up that pan again that I did the onions in. The sauce is going to be ready to be blended after we do this step, after we do this process. And I'm going to see what else it needs. But I bet it's just going to need more salt, and then it's going to be perfect. Pan doesn't have to be scorching hot. Just take a small, thin piece of meat, my friends. Right, little patty like this, and that will be plenty for us to tell what the seasoning of this is like. Just quickly get it done. This is the taste test. Stove versus air fried. I mean, I'm gonna do these in a broiler because I want to really, really brown them. And so everybody, I really want to talk about this. It's super, super important that you might not know. The reason your meatballs fall apart is because you try to stir them too much when they're raw. To get a meatball that is intact, traditionally people would like to fry them. I'm actually just going to roast these at a super high temperature. I'm thinking either 500 degrees or just broiling them. Let's do 500 degrees. I'm gonna heat up my oven now. I'm gonna get my oven going now. I'm gonna heat it up to 500 degrees. And so, what we're basically going to do is pre-cook the meatballs so that it's firm enough for us to be able to easily put it into the sauce. 500 degrees, super, super hot. Okay, I'm also going to go ahead and just turn off the heater at home because it's already 76 degrees in here. Okay, 76 degrees, I don't want to sweat and die and explode in my own kitchen. Okay, let's give the meat a little flip. We're just cooking this through until I can taste it safely. And seeing what that's gonna be like. Okay, oh, that sauce is gonna be awesome. As soon as we blend that down, that sauce is incredible. I don't like air fryers. I don't like them. I think people should just get like a Cuisinart or a Breville convection oven if you have the money for it. I hate how much space air fryers take up. I don't like them. I do not like them. Okay, just give that meat a couple of minutes, and then we're gonna give it a little taste test and see where it's at. And then we'll assemble. Is everybody excited? I'm excited. Okay. So let's do a little taste test now. So my bet at the moment is gonna be that this mixture does not have enough salt. Okay. Oh. Let me tell you. Yeah, doesn't have enough salt. We're gonna add some more and mix it through. Guess what? That was fucking delicious. Despite the fact that it doesn't have enough salt, the parsley comes through, the onion comes through. It's so simple, and yet everything really, really comes through. It's really, really beautiful. Wow. My friends, that was not a spicy meatball, but that was a really tasty meatball. Salt, it's gonna need some more of it. That was my guess. 1 pinch, 2 pinch. Guys, it was tender. The flavor of the lamb really came through. The parsley came through. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay. Let's take the salt. We're gonna mix it through. You wanna mix this heavily, my friends. Heavily, heavily, heavily. So we don't get little pockets of salt. I should have added more in the beginning, but it's okay. We're getting it done now. Better late than never, okay? I want a nicely seasoned meatball. No bland meatballs in this household. Guys, I have a question. Are there bland meatballs in this household? In your household on the stream? Is that what we're doing here? Or what's going on? Yes, chef. Dolingo, you said yes, chef, to us having bland meatballs? Are you serious? I can't believe this. Dolingo with the constant defiance. I'm in actual disbelief. That's right, we don't have bland meatballs here. We never will. We're just mixing this through, my friends. We're getting all of the salt evenly incorporated, chopping it up, mixing it around as many times until we feel better about ourselves. Yes. The lingo, don't take me literally. Okay. Couple more mixes through just to make sure the salt's all over. But otherwise, my friends, that was a perfect meatball. And again, the reason we're baking it in advance is because I personally don't want to pan fry a bunch of these all at once. It's going to be fucking annoying. And also, this firms it up so that we can then finish cooking some of it in the sauce. Okay. Guess what? The meatball mixture is now officially done, skis. That is now done. Everybody, let's do another recap really quickly. So, we're making Spaetzle with meatballs, lamb meatballs specifically, and a spicy red pepper sauce. We made the red pepper sauce base, we just have to blend it up and add cream to it. We've made the Spaetzle batter itself, it's sitting and resting behind me. We've made the meatball mixture with ground lamb, with some bread, with some milk, with a little bit of egg, with parsley paste, with fried onions. Really, really delicious stuff. Okay, and now we're preheating an oven at 500 degrees. We're going to shape out the balls, and we gotta make the sauce as well. We gotta blend up the sauce. So, let's head to the stove dimension. It's time for us to go to the blend dimension. I'm gonna get this out of here, I'm gonna get this out of the way. I have no use for this. Clean as you go, my friends. Always, now, and forever. We're still gonna need that silicone spatula. Okay? We're basically gonna add some half and half to really help thin this out a little bit. A little bit more liquid. And then we're gonna see how we like it so far. And half is just gonna give it the whole thing a really nice, delicious, creamy taste. I don't love doing heavy cream sauces anymore. I just feel like it's too rich. I like doing half and half a lot more these days. Heavy cream tends to make things sometimes oily, especially when it splits. I don't know why, I just have a much better experience lately with half and half. But you definitely don't want milk in this straight up, because the issue you risk with milk is that the tomatoes and stuff are so acidic that it then you run the risk of splitting it. So, splash of heavy cream, maybe 2 splashes. And then we'll see if we even want to cook down the half and half, not heavy cream, half and half. Big difference. Okay. It's going to be a little bit awkward through this angle, but we'll make it happen. And this has the cumin, this has the cayenne. This is a really, really delicious sauce. Okay, we're going to mix it around. We're going to flatten some stuff. And then we're going to get in there, and we're going to blend. You know what? I'm thinking, should I do this in a cup? I don't think I actually have enough space in this little pot. Yeah, for me to safely blend this. This is actually all going to splash up. I'm going to have to do this in a separate little vessel. We can probably just do this in the parsley vessel after we rinse it out. So I'm sorry about that, everybody. Give me a second. I'm going to get that station set up instead. So again, what happened was my liquid in there is actually too shallow. And so I just need something a little bit taller. I just need a taller vessel to hold everything in it. Right? Otherwise, an immersion blender is just going to splash everywhere and create a super, super huge mess. So I'm just taking a second to pour all of that out. I'm going to probably just ladle it on in. And then we'll do it. And then we'll put it back into the pot. So everybody, thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for being patient through this process. I should actually just show you the process instead of just talking about it. Right, so I'm just taking a ladle. I'm scooping all of this out. Actually, 500 might be too hot for the meatballs. I'm thinking maybe 450. I want to get some good browning on it. 500 could be too hot. Okay. Excellent, that's the majority of it. And now, let's switch the tool I'm using. Let's use this instead. Let's scrape up the last of it. Get everything inside. And we're going to make a beautiful sauce in just a moment. Excellent. I'm gonna grab a board just to put this on while it blends, like a nice flat surface. Okay. Just like so. That'll be just fine. Put that on. Let's get this on. Oh yeah. And now, let's make that delicious, creamy red pepper sauce. Ready for this? And now, my friends, it's all just gonna come together. How tall am I? I am 5'5.5". Also, hello, Dr. Slowbro. Get this as smooth, as chunky as you would like it. I want a smooth sauce, my friends. Blending it all up, my friends, and honestly, it's gonna be a really, really delicious sauce, right? It's got the cumin, it's got cayenne, has paprika, it has the red peppers, the tomatoes. As well as the half and half. Oh yeah. Almost there, let's give it a little taste. Beautiful. Okay, I know that was a lot of blending just now, but we did it. We now have a beautiful red pepper sauce. Are you guys okay? Y'all hanging in there? Now, let's make sure this doesn't spill. Okay, I'm gonna get this aside. This has done its job. And now, let's pour all of this right back into the pot. Look at that sauce, amazing. And we're gonna give it a little taste. We're gonna see how it's doing. This is why we wanted the silicone spatula for the job, right? We're able to get in there really, really easily. Perfect. Scrape everything out that you can. Squeegee it out. We don't want to waste any of this delicious sauce. And that, my friends, is my roasted red pepper sauce. You ready? Let's give it a little taste test. I'm just making sure I'm soaking everything so that nothing dries up and becomes a pain in the ass to clean later. Okay, my friends, let's give this whole sauce a little taste. You ready? I want to hear you sounding yes, chef. Are we ready for this? Sweet, smoky, the red pepper comes through. You're getting the onion, you're getting the garlic, you're getting all the spices, all of those cumin seeds, the cayenne, the paprika. That is a delicious sauce. The only thing it's probably gonna need is a little bit more salt. Gamers, you can do the sauce on pasta. You're gonna have it with the Spaetzle, which is effectively a pasta, right? This is an incredible sauce and it was so easy. It was so easy. Charring the components really makes a difference. You get such a smoky sauce. It is so special. It is so special. Perfect. Does not need any more cream at all. No more half and half. I'm gonna go ahead and put that away now. Yum. Really, really delicious. Okay, my friends, it's time for us to shape up the meatballs. I know, Spaetzle, not pasta. I know this, Jack. Don't worry. But effectively, functionally, it is. In this case. Beautiful. That is a lovely sauce. My friends, we've completed 1 out of 3 of the components. Now we have to shape and bake the meatballs and we're gonna finish cooking it in the sauce itself. And I'm baking it because I'm doing this at home. I have quite a bit of meat mixture to go through. I'd rather not do it like sort of the Italian way of taking a pan and frying everything in oil. I want to bake it so that the meatballs get nice and firm enough that we can then put it in the oven. Okay? So I'm just cleaning up my station. I'm wiping things down. And now, let's head to the overhead camera. So this is the meat mixture. I have a sheet tray that I set aside. And now we're going to line this with foil. No, it's okay. Let Jack be mad. Let Jack be upset. We're going to line this with foil just to make my life easier. We want a sheet tray that is big enough to accommodate all the balls. Every single last one of these. And we want to prevent any potential leakage. No leaking. Does anybody have any questions? I'm here to help you learn. So, again, we're doing this in this way so that the meatballs get firm enough that we can finish cooking them in the sauce. If we were to add the meatballs directly in, or we try to fry them individually, I mean, frying them individually would also work, it just takes up a lot of time doing it that way. We're baking them off all at once so they firm up. And actually, I have no idea how long I should bake them for. I could probably Google it. I was just gonna do like 20 minutes at 450 and then see how I feel, see what the vibes are. Okay, really lining this tray up. Okay. Beautiful. And now, let's glove up. I'm gonna grab some gloves to handle the balls, to handle the meatballs. Here's what's gonna happen. Now, I guess the only concern I have is it going to stick to the tray as it cooks? If it does, it does. We'll figure it out. So my friends, we're going to use one of my favorite kitchen tools that I finally have an excuse to use again. You know what this is? You know what this bad boy is? This is a cookie scoop. This is how you shape out even cookies, and guess what? It's just as good for meatballs. I love this device. I love using this. It has a little crank. It's so fun to stim on. I use this for so many different things. Meatballs is one of my favorites. So here's what you do. We're gonna go take a bowl of meat. We're going to take a nice big spoon of it, and we're going to make sure that we're just packing it in as tight as possible and getting rid of any of the meat that comes off the sides. And then we plop it down. And guess what? One perfect meatball. Pack it in there, cut off whatever is remaining on the sides. It doesn't have to be perfect. Plop it down. That's two. And we're gonna clean these up. We're going to make sure that we're cleaning it up. We're going to round off the edges and everything. Okay, meatball number 3. And look how quickly we're getting through these. No more imprecise measurements. Everybody, make these meatballs as small or as big as you would like. It is completely up to you in this case. Completely up to you. The power is in your hands. I am doing big meatballs, guess what? Because I have a lot of these to shape. I like having a big texture of like a very big, firm, juicy meatball. And the big meatballs, they tend to fall apart, but not if we pre-bake them. We pre-bake them, and they have the egg holding it together. I promise you these bad boys are gonna stay intact. Packing it in, getting all the excess out, plopping it down. Packing it in, rinsing and repeat, my friends. So yeah, I'm making them bigger for its succulence, and also because that means I have to shape them less. I have less of them to actually shape, right? It just becomes a lot easier to portion when I'm making this many meatballs ahead of time. Packing it in, scraping off the sides. Okay? And then I'm also just going to move these over a little bit. And they're a little bit delicate at this stage because it's just raw meat. And you want to make sure that they're separated, but you don't need to be so anal about like having 20 inches apart or anything, right? Just want a nice tray of meatballs. And again, In a restaurant setting, what would be kind of optimal would be to deep fry these to get like a really good crust on these. We're not going to get the best possible crust because I have so many meatballs to make. I'm making a trade-off here. I'm intentionally not frying these. I'm intentionally not doing that because it is worth more for me, the efficiency of doing this and baking it off. These are gonna have plenty of flavor even without having a super deep brown crust on them. Yeah, so you just don't want them touching or anything. But otherwise, you can keep them pretty close together. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move these aside because I still have a few more to fit in here. I can probably fit 4 per layer. So let's try to do that. And then we're gonna roll them up after we do that. But yes, I love the texture of like a deep fried meatball. I'm twisting them so they don't stick while in its raw stage. Makes it a lot easier to handle, to move around. Okay, a few more to go, my friends. A few more to go. Making a big tray and balls of meatballs here. And then we can do something exciting with all the leftovers tomorrow. We'll see what that'll be. I don't know yet. I only plan my streams out the day before, right? So does anybody have any ideas? Does anybody have any suggestions? Okay, last few going in. Oh, is this just gonna be a perfect fit? I think this is just gonna be a perfect fit. Let's go. Gasp. Oh my God, it's basically a perfect fit. Almost. Everybody, look at my tray. Look at my tray of meatballs. Beautiful. And now all we're gonna do, we're just gonna take these, we're gonna quickly roll these up because they have a flat bottom. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. We just wanna roll these up a little bit just to make sure they stay nice and compact. Any cracks will cause the meatballs to fall apart a little bit when they cook. What's the equivalent of a JV foil in cooking? Oh, Charlie, I have no idea what to say. So I'm just rolling all of these up nice and tight, getting beautiful meatballs out of every single one of these. My friends, do you understand how much flavor is in these bad boys? Do you understand the power we hold? They're super, super delicious. And the sauce as well. The sauce is so crazy. Okay, last to go. Excellent. Do I fry off a tester piece? Yes, I did. We did that earlier when we made the mixture, and I came to the conclusion that it needed more salt. So we absolutely do the testing pieces. Excellent question. Everybody, look at this. Look at my collection of meatballs here. Beautiful, isn't it? All evenly sized up because we use the cookie scoop. The cookie scoop is one of my favorite tools in the kitchen. 450 degrees, I'm going to bake these for around 25 to 30 minutes. The entire idea is I just want them to become firm enough that they can then cook in the sauce a little bit more too, and we can serve it with the sauce all together. Okay, 450 degrees, I'm gonna throw them in. Now, is there a reason I'm using that temperature? Not particularly, I'm just kind of messing around here. I don't have any frame of reference of what would be a good temperature for this. I'm only doing a high temperature because I feel like we could get some color on the meatball that way. And traditionally, you know, you could fry these. You could fry these off one by one, but I have so many meatballs and I'm cooking at home. I'm cooking at home, this is not a restaurant. I'm not gonna fry off all of these in olive oil, right? It's just not realistic. It's just not, whoa. Oh, my tray almost fell. My tray of meatballs almost fell. Oh, that was so bad. Okay, everything's fine. There's not an issue. 30 minutes. I'm gonna set a timer for it. But I feel like it'll be done sooner. We'll just check on it. Okay, everybody, guess what? We've done so much. We've done so much. Let's have a sip of water. Let's have a little ceremonial sip of water. And we'll talk about everything that we've done. We'll talk about everything that we've made. I'm gonna take a second to just put some things away. How many meatballs did I make? 4 by 7, so like 28 big meatballs, like big, properly sized meatballs too. I'm not messing around when it comes to meatballs. I'm gonna have a nice big tray of them, and it's gonna be food for the next few days too. It's a good question. I'm not gonna answer that on stream though. Okay. Everybody, recap session. We have now completed almost 2 out of 3 of the components. The thing that we first did is we made this beautiful roasted red pepper creamy sauce here. Okay? This right here, you know what it has? We had the whole toasted cumin, whole black peppercorns. We had the paprika and the cayenne pepper. We fried onions in olive oil. We charred under the broiler tomatoes and bell peppers to get it nice and black and nice and smoky. We fried the onions, we fried the garlic, we added the spices, we added in the bell peppers, we added in the tomatoes, beautifully charred. We cooked it down for like an hour and a half. We added some water. We blended it all up with some half and half. And then we get this delicious, spicy, smoky, sweet sauce. The bell pepper really comes through. Full of flavor. Let me tell you, that sauce has something to say. Let's let it speak. What do you have to say? You heard that? Good. Okay, we made the meatball mixture. So the meatball mixture had some parsley paste. We fried some onions. We soaked some bread in some milk. We added an egg. We threw in the ground lamb and beef mixture. We mixed it all up, fried off a test patty, rolled it into balls, and now it's baking off. And we're going to finish some of them in this sauce. Okay? And the reason we're doing that is because we want the meat to fry off, to cook off separately so that it is firm enough to then be in a sauce. Typically people would fry these in olive oil or something, but I like to, I like to do that in an oven for this many meatballs just because it's a lot more practical that way for me. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly clean up a few things. And then we'll begin on the rest of the stuff we have to do, which is just a spätzle and thinking about the plating of everything. So we're almost done, my friends. Well, not almost done. We still have some stuff to do, but we've done a lot of the hard stuff. Okay, so I'm just cleaning off my equipment right now. I'm gonna throw this into the dishwasher right now, get it all out of the way. Because remember, this is a home kitchen. I'm a one-man show. I do my own dishes every single time that I stream. In the future, I'd love to get some hired help for that. In the meantime, not an option. Okay. Excellent. Oof. Last thing we have to do, we just have to wait for the meatballs to cook, and we're going to make the spätzle. Let's look at the spätzle batter. I'm going to show you guys that right now. So remember the spätzle batter? It has the fresh nutmeg. We threw in some of the parsley paste just to give it a little bit of that like green hue. And guess what I have? A second cookie scoop. Because guess what? It makes the batter come off so easily. I love this thing so much that I have a second one of these. This one's just a little smaller. The big one was for the balls. But this, perfect. And so here's the idea. Here's what we have to do. We have to boil a big pot of water. I'm just gonna get that going now. We have to boil a big old pot of water. And we're going to basically use this cheese grating tool, essentially, to put the batter inside, and then we move it around like this. And that way we get these beautiful little drop dumplings, these beautiful little spätzle. And we're going to serve that with the sauce and the meatballs. Look at these things, huh? I'm going to keep this covered up with the plastic just to make sure nothing dries out between now and the time we're ready to use it. We have to think about our station. So we have this thing of water. I'm going to actually turn this light off. I don't think it's particularly necessary. I'm going to bring it up to a boil, but I'm also going to add a big handful of salt because I want some of that salt to, of course, permeate the spätzle, to season it through for us to get some delicious spätzle. And now we have to think about a tool of choice. What tool will we be using to scoop out Mr. Spätzle? No, Jack, you cannot ask for the yes chef. You can't do it. Only I'm allowed to do that. I'm the only one with that kind of admin power here. Nobody else is allowed to respond to that. Okay, so my friends, my favorite tool for the job is going to be the spider. This spatula right here. Not the spiders that came in the Chipotles that one time, but this tool. It's going to be used to scoop out the dumplings, scoop out the Spaetzle, scoop out the pasta, whatever it is that you want to do. I love having a spider. And then they need to be dropped into a bowl, and then hit with a little bit of oil, hit with a little bit of olive oil to stop it from sticking. So we have to think about that station. We have to think about how to plan that out and make sure that that's all ready by the time that we want to do this. Right? This is a little bit of preparation that we need to do, my friends. It's important. So let's think about how to do this. We need a nice big bowl. That's what we need. We need a bowl that will be able to accommodate all of the Spaetzle that we're doing. It needs to be approximately the volume of all of your batter. So you don't really need a strainer if you're using a spider, because we take it out, we scoop it out, and it's going to drain all of its liquid off naturally. And then we're going to put it into this nice big bowl here. I'm going to put a plate under it, a little toaster. And so here's the idea. Here's the idea, my friends. We're going to take the grating tool once the water comes up to a boil. Just like this, it locks on. We're going to put in the batter. We're going to take it off. We're going to cook it for just a minute or two. And then we're going to take it out and then throw it into the bowl and toss it in a little bit of oil. Super simple, super easy. Let's just get that water boiling in the meantime. Sorry, my bad. Didn't mean to do that. And while I wait for the water to boil, does anybody have any questions for me? Does anybody have anything they would like to say to me? Now is the best possible time to do it. Okay. The food lab came in? What do you mean? I love your voice. Thank you, Golo. It's very sweet of you. Are we talking about Jake Kenji Lopez Alt's food lab? So, Nikki asks me, let's get your message displayed on the screen. Let's make it all fancy. How long have I been cooking and do I do any schooling? The answer is I've been cooking for basically my whole life since I was around 6 or 7 years old. And no, I've never been professionally trained as a chef at all. I'm completely self-taught. It is just my obsession. This is my lifelong obsession. Okay, and what I'm trying to teach you all, I have seen, so I need to explain what I'm doing here. I'm trying to fix a problem. I'm trying to fix a problem. You know what my problem is? There's so much garbage cooking content out there that doesn't help people. It doesn't teach them how to do things. You don't teach a musician how to play music by giving them sheet music to read. You don't teach somebody how to become a good chef by giving them a recipe to follow. I'm giving you the fundamental techniques, the components that you need to become an excellent cook, to become adaptable, especially in a home setting, to be able to use what you have available to make the most out of your ingredients, to understand every single little step of what you're doing and why we're doing it. And that's how you build an understanding, and then you can express yourself creatively. I am solving a problem here, and that's what I'm trying to do with my streams, because there's so much poorly done cooking content for people that are trying to live out a fantasy of, ooh, you know what I want to do? I want to make money doing food. Great. How do they do it? In the least meaningful and least interesting way possible, where they spoon feed people content that doesn't help them. I want to help people. And so, that's why I want any of you to ask me a question whenever you have one. Okay. Do I salt water when I boil pasta? Asks Duolingo Has My Family. And the answer is yes, absolutely. A very small percentage of the salt will actually ever end up permeating the pasta itself. You need to heavily over-salt it. But if your sauce is salty enough, you can get away with not doing it. It's not essential. It's a nice touch. As long as your sauce is salty, your pasta is also going to be fine too. But yes, I typically do salt my water quite heavily. Okay. I'm just getting my station ready. I'm getting all my stuff together. I'm making sure that we have a flow, that we have a method. Also, thank you, Tobias. I try my best. Yeah, I want to teach people how to cook at home more than anything. That's the way that the majority of people should be cooking, depending on their lifestyle, and people need help. And that's why I want any question, anything at all, even if you think it's a small question, even if you think it's a dumb question, I want you to ask me. And the reason we don't do salt on top of the pasta typically is because it's difficult to get an even season on it that way. Because the salt tends to stick to whatever is like wet and starchy, right? And if it's sticking to the topmost like layer of like the pasta, it's not going to mix through evenly. And that's why people salt the pasta water, so that the salt actually permeates and doesn't just sit on top of it. Also, daily cookbook when? No recipes, just theory. I don't know. That'd be a fun project though. I was working on one at some point, and then I stopped and I realized I don't think I'm good enough at this yet. I'm excellent at what I do, but I want to become even better to actually publish something like that. And you know what my theory would be? Here would be my entire approach. I'm going to explain something to you. Some of the most important concepts for me in life are accessibility. Okay? And so I have a huge problem. The biggest example of this is in video games. Why is it that from AAA studios, from AAA publishers, we're buying video games that are a digital copy for whatever amounts of money that they can at any point revoke what they just gave to you? Why is it that we are paying for a product that is easily replicable, something that can be just copy and pasted? Why is it that we are paying money for books, really good quality books, information that is now gatekept and behind a paywall? So you know what I would do? I would create a cookbook with an online version that is completely free and advertised as such. I would have a hardcover version that would cover the cost to make it, and then, you know, people would buy it if they wanted to support me. But there would be an entirely free version of this cookbook available online for people to have it. Because the thing I want to do above all else is not to help myself, but to help people learn how to do this thing, to help people to learn how to cook. And I would write an excellent cookbook. I would write something that really, really helps people. I refuse to gatekeep it behind money. You can buy a physical copy of it for money to help reimburse the cost and to help support me, but there will always be a free, completely free, easy to download online version that requires absolutely nothing. I will have a recommended, hey, give me $12 to help support this if you really want to, right? The same thing that people like game devs, indie game devs do on things like itch.io. But information that is replicable should never cost anything at all. The people that make it should still be supported and paid. And I think that kind of a model, I think I'll be supported and paid purely through the donations of it. But I want, above all else, that information actually help the people who need it, especially because I'm writing about home cooking, how to make it more accessible and cheap. How evil would it be for me to charge for that kind of information? It's just copy-paste. It's just text on a page that's already been written, right? So, it's not noble, Kaze. It's not noble. I consider it the bare minimum. And the reason people charge is because they're trying to exist in, of course, a capitalist system, and they need enough money to be able to live. But I think if I make this big enough, if I do what I do here big enough, I'll be able to live off of the donations and the courtesy money that people will give me, because they will understand what I'm trying to do here. And I don't consider this beautiful. I consider this change in the bare minimum and the way that things should be. And so, that's why I really like the cooking stream format. Guess what? If you have an internet connection, this is completely free to watch. I want to make this big enough that I continue to keep this thing free. I hate the idea of paid gate-kept content because it only serves people that have that kind of luxury abundance money. I would like to profit off of the goodwill of people, right, to help actually support this thing, and that's why I'm asking, hi, if you can donate, !donate or !tip in chat or scroll down, you'll be able to help reimburse me for the cost of this. But the goal is to get this to be so big that I will be able to live off of that and continue to keep all of this information free. Okay? I want to make cooking accessible. So, thank you for listening to my rant. I really appreciate it. This is a topic that I'm just very, very passionate about. This is a topic that is extremely important to me. I want to be able to facilitate meaningful change, especially with food. This is my biggest obsession. Also, thank you, Audio Murphy. I would like to make this my job. Okay, enough ranting. Let's look at the water. Is the water boiling yet? No, not quite. Let's look at the meatballs. You guys want to take a look at the meatballs? Let's look at the meatballs. And if you have any more questions, please, now's your time to do it. Now's your time to ask me. So, these meatballs, not the most attractive at the moment, right? Not the prettiest meatballs, but they are picking up a little bit of color. A little bit. We're just baking them off. We're getting them to be nice and firm that we can just throw it into the sauce after. We're going to continue baking them another 15 minutes, and then we'll continue to cook it in the sauce. Azalea, I don't actually have an answer for you. But yes, I really strongly believe in free information. There's not enough good free information out there. Especially, so the development of the internet and communication technology is extremely interesting. There was a point in the internet where people posted very good, high quality information on their own personal websites, or they just put things out there for the sake of it. But then everybody became, okay, I need to be able to live off of this thing and I need to monetize it. That's not necessarily their fault, it's a systemic issue. So, a lot of the actual good knowledge on the internet is now no longer publicly available. There's so much AI-ridden garbage out there as well. So much mass-produced garbage content, and then real quality information is always behind a paywall. And so I want to change that in the space that I care the most about, which is food. I want to be able to facilitate meaningful change through food, and I want to rely on the goodwill and the donation of other people to really help keep this thing going, to keep it realistic. Okay? So, Meatballs got about 15 minutes left on him. Did I watch the barrier? Sure did, Kaze. I'm just currently waiting for the water to boil. And as soon as it's boiling, as soon as it's there, we'll be able to continue the next step of the Spaetzle, which is actually going to be cooking it. We have a station all set up with. We have a bowl with a spider. We're going to toss it in some olive oil. It's going to be awesome. And then let's also get the eating plate set up. You can do this in a bowl. I'm going to do this on a plate because it's going to look very cute that way. It's going to look very pretty. Also, I did forget. I had some parsley that I wanted to throw into the sauce. Going to mix that through. Okay. Nice big plate. And so basically the idea is we're just going to have a couple of meatballs. We're going to have a scoop of the sauce. It's going to be awesome. Okay. I'm getting my station ready. I'm getting my setup going, my friends. So that when it is time to cook the Spaetzle, we can just cook. We can just go at it. Okay. We're looking for a nice boil on the water. It doesn't have to be a rolling boil or anything. It's almost there. I know we're watching a pot of water boil. It's a little bit slow at the moment. This is why I implore you now, if you have any questions, now is the time to do it. I'm keeping everything here close by so that when it's time to dump things out, we can just go. We just have a process. We just have a method. The only thing I haven't done is I haven't tossed some oil into this bowl here. It's going to be pretty important. And the oil is going to help stop the Spaetzle from sticking, as well as it's going to be some nice olive oil. Water is almost there, my friends. And I think the burger is very entertaining. I think the burger is just a really fun watch. I really enjoyed it. And so, my friends, when we're cooking the Spaetzle, it's going to be done in batches, right? Because think about it. When we're adding in the batter itself, you're going to have some that are more cooked, some that are less cooked. So we usually do this in about 3 installations total to make sure that everything gets to exactly where it needs to be. And next thing I need to make sure happens is that I have an actual space to put the meatballs. What is your type with annoying relatives, chef? Jack, I have no idea what you're asking me. I don't talk to most of my relatives. I don't keep up with a lot of family at all. Oh, what is my tip to deal with annoying relatives? Get old enough to the point that you can decide who and who not to keep in your life. Guess what? I'm going to tell you something right now. I hate the idea of a blood family. I'm just going to say it. It's a very, common take nowadays, but I hate the idea of a blood family. I hate the idea that just because you were related to some people by blood, that you were connected to them and forced to uphold some sort of responsibility to keep them in your lives. That's how people justify continuing to be toxic, continuing to be abusive. Or even people, they don't have to be toxic or abusive. They can just be people you don't like. Guess what? You don't owe shit to your family. You don't owe anything to the people you're related to. You can keep the people in your life that you want to keep around. I love my mom. I keep her around. But I don't keep her around because I'm related to her. I keep her around because of the relationship that we have, right? And so you're able to go through that one by one. And that's my advice to you. You can get old enough to the point that you can quite literally pick and choose the people that you have in your life. And if you're not old enough at that point, guess what? You just will be at one day. You just will be at one point. Okay, Sorry about that. Little philosophical, little life thing there. It might have been too big of a thing to talk about in the moment. Not able to go into it as deep as I would like to. But guess what? It's time to make the Spaetzle. So, my friends, the water is boiling. Set up the Spaetzle station. I'm going to turn down that heat a little bit because it's going a little too hot. And now we take this. We're going to scoop it out. We're going to scoop out the batter, spoon it on in. Oh yeah, it's Spaetzle time. And that should be good for the first batch. And now, my friends, all we need to do, we just move it up and down, up and down. And all of the batter just comes out. Perfect. There we go. All of it comes out. Gonna go ahead and just wipe this down really quickly. I have some batter that ended up leaking over the side here. That's okay. Be a problem for another day. And guess what? It naturally rises back up, and all we have to do is just boil this for a minute or two. You could take it out as soon as it floats to the top. It doesn't really matter that much. It's kind of difficult to overcook these unless you're intentionally trying to do so. I'm just gonna set a timer for about a minute or two. That's all. Look at this thing, beautiful. That's all my Spaetzle, my friends. Look at this, delicious, delicious, easy to do dumplings at home. I love doing Spaetzle at home. This is so much more realistic than doing a fresh pasta, always and forever. I love fresh pasta, I love the taste of fresh pasta. It is unrealistic for me to do that at home. Okay, so we're just bringing it up to a boil, and then we're going to take it out with the spider, and then it's going to be done in a minute. I love Spaetzle. I really, really do. I hate working with dough. I hate rolling it out. I hate flouring my surface, making it thin, and then you're like, oh shit, it's too elastic. It's snapping back. Yeah, multiple. It's purely because it takes so much time. Well, Jack, Spaetzle are dumplings. Dumplings refers to any sort of dough or batter that gets dropped in. It's the reason why gnocchi is a dumpling. Spaetzle are dumplings, technically. If we're talking about just a grouping of batters and doughs that end up getting dropped into things. Okay. Fresh pasta is harder than this at home because you have to flour the whole surface, you have to roll it out, you have to cut it, you have to air dry it. It's a headache. It's a headache. I don't like doing it. Guess what? It's a novelty. I think it's a novelty. Also, the Spaetzle are now done cooking. I think it's a novelty. Or you have a dedicated woman in a household, like traditionally, you have your Italian grandma in that household that is making all of that fresh pasta. If you want to do it, go ahead. Don't let me stop you. But in a weeknight basis, look how easy the Spaetzle is to cook. Look how easy it is. We just made a batter. We threw it in some boiling water after we rested it. It is the easiest thing to do. Scooping out all the Spaetzle, and now we're just mixing it around in the oil, and now we're just heating the water back on up to a boil, and we're gonna get the next one. So easy, so consistent as well. These don't take any particular amount of finesse or skill either, I promise you. They're easy, they're consistent, and most of all, they have an incredible texture, and they're super, super delicious. Okay? And that's why I love Spaetzle. I love Spaetzle, and everybody should be doing this at home. Everybody without a doubt. My goal is to make functional home food. I'm not making novelties. I'm not making celebratory food. I'm making food for home. Food that you can make on a weeknight after work. Food that you can make every single day. Food that can keep in the fridge and then reheats easily. That's why I love Spaetzle. That's why I think it's special. Okay, guess what? That water is boiling yet again. I'm gonna set up the strainer once more. The Spaetzle tool, rather. I'm just wiping it down to make sure it doesn't leak over the sides or anything. I really think it is such, at least in the United States, not enough people do this. Unless they actually are enthusiasts or they're German, right? Not enough people do this at home. 1, I would ideally like to do this only in one more batch, right? So that much should be good. And I love using the cookie scoop for this. Look how easy this is when you have the right tools for the job. Having the right tools for the job, we're not using a spatula, we're not using any of this stuff. We're making it nice and easy for ourselves. And as a result, this process is easy and quick and efficient and so realistic to do and fun. I love Spaetzle. Okay, pressing it all out. Getting the last of it out. Excellent, no more drips. I just lied, it just dripped all over the bowl of the cooked ones. That's totally okay though. Okay. And it does cool down the water each time you do this, right? So you do have to be a little mindful of that. And again, my friends, remember, we added a bunch of oil to this bowl, and it stops it from sticking together as it cools down. Right? I'm also going to have a taste. That is so delicious. That is so chewy. That is so lovely. Guys, let me tell you, that is a perfect Spaetzle. We set a timer for a minute as they've now risen to the top. Okay? The boiling water helps to set the outside of it before it has a chance to stick to the bottom. Okay? Beautiful. Really, really delicious. Everybody should give cooking a try, I agree. Well, whenever it is realistic in their own life arrangements, of course. Should we check on the meatballs? Yes, we should. Oh my God. We should have checked on them a little while ago. Whoa. Okay. Guess what? We gotta take the meatballs out. I gotta put them on a thing to make sure, like on a coaster or something. I have a whole tray of them. I completely forgot about my meatballs. Okay. It's totally fine. They burnt maybe a little bit. Let's find out what happened with them. Nope, they look perfect. They look excellent. And we gotta take out the Spaetzle now too. No, they did not burn at all. Only the bottoms did, but that's totally okay. Look at these meatballs. Beautiful. I'm taking them out. I'm putting them on a coaster to cool off in the meantime. Okay, I kind of overcooked these Spaetzle a little bit, but that's okay. The meatballs are ready, and we're gonna take a look at those in just a moment, my friends. I just gotta really take this batch out. And again, doing this, look how much water comes out. Nice and easy. I love using a spider. Using the right tools for the job makes your life that much easier. And I'm gonna get this water back on up to a boil now. I'm gonna mix the Spaetzle around in the oil. And we have one more batch to do, my friends. Ooh, look at the meatballs. Look at the meatballs. Look at these things. Excellent. The sheet tray burnt a little bit, but we're going to just take these out and put these onto a plate. Is what we're going to do. This is one advanced meal. Also, Internet Shaquille, welcome on in. We made, you know what? I'm gonna do a little recap just for Shaquille. Just for you, welcome in. We made a little roasted red peppers. Ooh, that spatula is a little hot. A little roasted red pepper sauce. We have a big bowl of Spaetzle incoming as I'm heating up the water for the next batch. And I also baked off some meatballs just now. I baked off some lamb meatballs. It's great, I'm pretty excited about it. We charred some bell peppers, we charred some tomatoes. It's like really, really smoky sauce. Kind of like salsa inspired, right? Because I just do all of my tomato-based sauces under the boiler. I char the skins, I burn them, I blend them up. It's good, it's delicious. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. We're going to transfer the meatballs on over, is what's gonna happen. Because I wanna get that sheet tray out of here. I don't wanna stop worrying about it. It is one advanced meal, but guess what? I wanna do something special. And I'm gonna have enough leftover meatballs from this. Okay. Really? I've found that the mess it makes is actually not that much. I haven't gotten that much of a mess out of Spaetzle. So I have a question for you. What kind of tool did you use for Spaetzle? Okay, and again, I like baking off when I have like a big batch of meatballs, just because frying them all individually like that, when I have this many, is kind of good. Oh, you use the colander. You use the colander. Yeah, cleaning off that colander sounds like a bit of a hellscape, especially because you got to get like a spatula in there as well. We're going to just throw these back into the sauce afterwards, after we're done with all the Spaetzle. Yeah, the meatballs ended up sticking to the tray a little bit. It's not a big deal though. Smell delicious. They smell good. So let me show you what I'm using. I'm using this dedicated Spaetzle tool. I'm using this thing. Oh shit, that's a little bit too close. I'm just gonna go to the stove and do the next batch. This part, I find that it's really easy. I set up my station for it, and I just have the this like little tool to help like push things through, and then it like sits on your pot, and then you're just able to scoop things out really, really easily. Right? And Cookie Scoop does a really good job here. I love Cookie Scoops. Right? I'll probably do one more batch, or maybe I'm just going to waste all that dough because I don't feel like going through that again. I don't know, I find that the mess doing it like this is significantly less than fresh pasta, and I basically just wanted a home replacement to doing a fresh pasta. Right? And then you just go in there. And this one kind of sucks because it does leak off the edges. But it just ends up dropping them in. Right? It's good. But yeah, I just wanted a home replacement of fresh pasta because I hate doing fresh pasta at home. You have to roll it out, you have to flour the surface, you have to cut it. It's like a whole thing. I hate doing that. And this, to me, by comparison, is a lot less painful. And that's why I'm only doing this. Right? Even if it's still not like the easiest thing in the world, it does exactly what I want fresh pasta to do for me. Okay, I'm actually not done. So I had a little bit more to get out. Now it's done. Okay. But yeah, that's just going now. It's really, really simple. So me personally, I find that it's optimal. Grab it in there, stir it around for a second. We're gonna get all of them to float and then cook it for just a minute. Easy. And we get a big, beautiful bowl of Spaetzle. Ooh, the meatballs look good. What if I taste one? Excellent. Whoa, that meatball is amazing. That's one of the best meatballs I've ever made. Okay. Everybody, we have so little left to do. We're just gonna cook that for a minute more now, and then we're basically done. That's all of the work for everything. Is everybody ready? I want to hear resounding yes, chef, from everybody. I want to hear yes, chef, from everybody, please. Including Internet Shaquille if you still hear it. I want to hear it and I want to see it. Probably not though. Oh, perfect. Excellent, that's what I want to see. Okay, this has about 26 seconds on it. Once again, a spider makes quick work of getting the Spaetzle out. We're gonna plate everything in a few minutes. We're gonna plate it all. I'm gonna show you how everything looks like on the plate, and I'm gonna talk about everything one last time, and then we're gonna sign off after I taste it all. Hello, Godshoot. Welcome on in. Guess what? It's cooked for a minute. It's called a spider, yes. Okay, my friends. Guess what? This was the last of the Spaetzle. Away it goes. Take it, shake out the water, put it in the bowl. And it has to be an oiled bowl, right? A nice oiled one will make sure that the Spaetzle don't stick together as it all cools down. I'm not shocking it in ice water. I'm not doing anything crazy like that. It's really, really simple. It's really easy. Okay, my friends, we've done it. We've done it all. Are you all ready? I'm sorry, Godshoot. I don't know why your sub didn't pop up. Okay, my friends, let's play. Turning that off, it's time. First, a beautiful homemade Spaetzle. I want you to look at this thing. Look at it. And let me tell you, this reheats so much better than fresh pasta too. Like, or any pasta. Okay, big old portion of that. I'm not gonna heat up the meatballs again in the sauce or anything. I'm not gonna do that. Okay, that's a Spaetzle. Next, let's do a few of these lovely little lamb meatballs that I made. I don't need too much because I'm not gonna eat that much right now in the moment. I can't make it look that pretty. I'm not very good at plating things. And I have no intention on learning how, I think. And then we have some of the sauce. Maybe I should have put the meatballs on top of the sauce. But regardless, the sauce is really good. I should have just played the sauce first before anything else. And then I have some more parsley for fun. Plating is stressful, especially doing it live on camera. That shit sucks. Okay. Don't worry, Jack. The sauce, we're gonna scoop it up. Everybody, guess what? This is maybe the least pretty plate of Spaetzle I've ever made in my life, but that's okay. Let's talk about everything that we've made here. First, the sauce. We charred some red peppers, we charred some tomatoes, we blended it down. We toasted cumin, we toasted black pepper, we had some paprika and some cayenne, and we made a beautiful spice powder. We fried onions, we fried garlic, we added in the spice powder, we added in the charred vegetables, cooked it down, blended it down, and finished it with half and half. Next, the Spaetzle itself. The Spaetzle made with some parsley paste that we blended up. Okay, we blended up the parsley, we added it with some milk, with some eggs, with some nutmeg. Okay, we added that to the flour, we mixed it up, and we made the Spaetzle. And then the meatballs. We had some lamb, we had some bread, we had some milk, we had some fried onions. Okay, we also had some more of the parsley paste just for the sake of it, just to throw it on the inside. And now, I'm gonna take a nice fork of this, and I'm excited to try this all together. So let's get some of the sauce, let's get some of the Spaetzle, all in the same bite. It's fucking amazing. That's what it is. Let me tell you, Spaetzle is so nice. They're so chewy. They're so toothsome, almost, right? I love the spring of it. I love the bounce of it. The meatballs, really, really tender because of the addition of the bread. Nice and crusty on the outside. Perfect with the sauce. There's a lovely lamb meatball. Flavor of the lamb really comes through. The cumin in the sauce especially comes through as well. It's nice and spicy. It's wonderful. It's actually one of the best plates of food I've made in a while. I have no criticisms of anything I've made here. The texture of everything is so on point. Wow. Okay. Guess what? Everybody, we did it. We made the Spaetzle. We made the pepper sauce. We've done everything that we've needed to today. Does anybody have any final questions, any final concerns? Remember, next stream is going to be tomorrow, Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, back to back to back. All of those consecutive because it's the holiday season, baby. We got some good stuff coming up. Let me see who's live at the moment. You know what? I see Willow is live. We're going to raid Willow after the stream. Does anybody have anything finally to say to me? How to season a wok? Cream, that's a bigger question that I won't answer right now in the moment. What will we cook tomorrow? Go join my Discord, !Discord, or follow my Twitter to find out what we'll be making because I have no idea what we're making tomorrow either. Okay, my friends. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate every single one of you. And Internet Shaquille, thank you for stopping by as well. Sorry for parasocially singling you out. It just makes me happy anytime you stop by. Take a lot of inspiration. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and raid Willow. Nice work as always, thank you. Goodbye, everybody. I'm gonna see you all tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I have no idea what we're making yet, but I guess we'll find out soon. Bye-bye.